Okay, my dudes, I think we are live. I'm going to go real quick, send out a notification in our Discord chat. That way we can make sure that we get everybody out here. Let me send that. And no, this is not going to be a mock draft. No, please do not send me a DM over on Patreon trying to get in this, because this is going to be a real money dynasty startup draft. Of course, everybody in this is from Patreon, and we are going to be doing more throughout the offseason. Now, I have to give a massive apology, and y'all know usually we do one of these a week, maybe at the very most we are taking a week off and doing every other week. But no, I mean, we are having to change that up because we're moving to the new studio on the 21st. I'll be picking up from Austin, going to Tampa. So I'm going to have to kind of delay these new leagues. The next announcement that we'll have over on Patreon for a new startup happening, I believe, is going to be on the 25th. So yes, that's a little bit further of a gap than what we usually have, but we're having a crazy week. I mean, our Patreon draft guide for the 2021 season is about to be uploaded on the 20th. So yeah, we have a ton on our plate right now. I really hope y'all can excuse that. And now let me go through real quick, make sure we have everything set up correctly. And I saw that there could possibly be a way that I can make it where this chat is for subscribers only. I have no idea how to do that. I need to get a lot better at actually going through and streaming, but it is what it is. I'm not necessarily a professional streamer. We are just doing this because we love fantasy football. Let me go to the chat instead of having to see that live room, because that is definitely distracting. And this is getting kicked off in 2 minutes, guys. So I promise you it's not going to be that long at all. So please stick with me. I see that we already have 15 likes on the live stream, like 1 or 2 minutes in. Thank you so much for everybody coming out so early, dropping those likes. I want to make sure we're pulling up the live chat so I can be interacting as we go. Let me switch over real quick and show y'all the draft room. Okay, so you're going to see that, yeah, there were some trades made before the startup happened, but not nearly as much in our other league. And yes, we traded out of the first round again. And I want to let everybody know this is not a regular dynasty league. This is a best ball dynasty league, which no, that doesn't mean you can't make trades. We run our leagues a little differently where you can still make trades. The only difference is you don't have to actually submit a starting lineup, and it's going to be a 12-team Superflex tight end premium, and you're only starting one quarterback, one running back, one wide receiver, and you have that Superflex. Then you are flex spot until you have 11 starters. So it's definitely an interesting format. We have done this a couple times. Oh, and I forgot. I think I don't know. We're not going to focus in on that, but it looks like we are 30 seconds away from getting this going. Let me see who all is in the chat. Noah says instant replay. Just showed that I had the first like. What up, guys? Guys, Noah sent a badass picture of the flock sign that he's made us for the new studio. I'm not going to show it on the screen just because I want it to be a little bit more of a surprise. Okay, but looks like the chat is going in the league saying good luck, everyone. And yes, good luck. And of course, if I say something that I don't like with one of your picks, if I say that I think it's bad, understand that I am a talking monkey. I don't know anything. I am an idiot. My opinion isn't valuable at all. You're most likely right. I'm most likely wrong. So we can get over that hurdle. Now I'm allowed to make fun of your draft picks as I see fit. Okay. So yeah, and also a big thing is, guys, if y'all are watching this as a video later on, if you're watching this in the live stream right now, I mean, if I make a decision that you think is dumb, please do not hesitate. Go to the comment section. Tell me that I'm an idiot. Tell me that I'm a donkey and I'm wasting my money here. And I mean, we are going to have so much money invested into fantasy leagues when it's all said and done this offseason. But let's start the draft because it is 2 o'clock and we are having a 1:30 timer. So it's going to be a little bit different than the mock drafts where you have more time to make a pick, but it's because people need more times to make their pick. And here we have one concern, and that is Dat Kanak has yet to enter the draft. Now, some people were saying in the league chat that they were afraid that he was going to be on auto because he hadn't responded to any of their trade offers. And I responded with that saying, well, if he's on auto, he's on auto. He's a grown-ass man. I haven't heard from him. I can't really do anything. He got his league dues in. And once you get those league dues in, I mean, you're already pot committed to that is when you are going to be drafting. So I am very sorry if he does go on auto. And yes, that's going to probably throw some things off here. But I don't know what I'm supposed to do about it. We shot him that message in the league chat. I mean, Sleeper sends out those notifications. And if he wants to go MIA, he goes MIA. We can't just change the entire draft around that. Okay, but now let's go through. And yeah, so we got some people saying Saturday is draft day. Yes, sir. I'm sorry that next week we're not going to be able to have a draft on Saturday. Actually, I mean, we're moving into the place on Saturday, so maybe Saturday night, if we have the studio set up, I'll be able to go through and live stream. Hopefully that would be the case. Maybe we'll just do a mock draft. Yeah, so make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you have that notification bell hit if y'all want to see the studio on Saturday. Okay, so Alejandro is saying, I can draft now if you need. Maybe, could that be something we do? Okay, how about this? If he does end up autoing his first round pick, what I'm probably going to do is, yeah, Alejandro, I'll shoot you a link to get into the league. I know that you're good for the league dues. You can come over, you can draft for him. And yeah, and then you'll just have the spot into this league compared to him. So we may be pausing this halfway through. Let me actually grab my phone real quick so I can send out that little message in the chat. But oh my God, we're going quarterback to start this off. Looks like nobody cares about taking Christian McCaffrey. Let's see if he goes here at the 105. So people saying let the chat choose his picks. So if he doesn't come on and if he does auto in the first round, I'm going to pause it going into the second, and I'm going to kind of get their replacement. So like I said, we traded out of this 107. I want to be able to have as many picks as we can in rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Given the fact that it's a best ball format, I really like the roster construction when we can go through and do that. I mean, I didn't get great value for those picks at all. I mean, I literally just got a 3rd and a 5th round pick, but I was fine with that. Given the format, I think that is a trade that we like. Now, if you're playing in a regular league, definitely not advocating you trading the 107 for the 308 and the 508. Okay, so Aaron says, will it be your first time on the East Coast? It'll be my first time living on the East Coast. So the reason I'm moving to Tampa is I actually grew up in Texas, and then I decided to go to college at the University of Texas in Austin. And while I was at college, my family, they picked up, they moved to Tampa because my mom got a job promotion there. So I'm kind of just following them there because this is now my job. I can work from anywhere, obviously not living with them. I've got an apartment downtown. But yeah, so just kind of wanting to be in the area. They're in the suburbs. I'm going to be downtown. And if I can work from anywhere, because I am officially doing this full time because of all the support over there on Patreon. I mean, over 500 people a part of the Patreon flock. So thank you so much for allowing me to do this. But yeah, since I can live anywhere, I might as well live closer to my family when I have younger siblings. So yeah, that's why we are picking up and moving to Tampa. Alejandro says, what are the settings again? It's going to be a Superflex tight end premium best ball league, and you'll see the starting lineup requirements when you hop in. But yeah, Alejandro, I'm going to go and get you that link right now. Let me grab my phone so I can tell them that we're going to pause the draft here, and it should only take 1 or 2 seconds. Okay, and I apologize, but yeah, I think that's actually a lot better of an idea than have him auto the entire time. Okay, let me just let everybody in the league know that real quick. I'd imagine that a lot of people in the league are watching this live stream. I'll send it in the general chat and send it in the draft chat. Yeah, and we'll get him his refund as soon as the draft is over. Obviously, I'm not going to take the time to do that right now as we're streaming, but guys, this should only take 5 seconds. Yes, Alejandro, it is 0.5 tight end premium. So tight ends are getting an extra half a point per reception. Okay. Dillon says, I'm still salty about OSU Texas last year. Alejandro says also, can I have the first pick reversed? Yes, sir. Actually, let me pause it right now. That's a good idea. Okay. I'm pausing it right now. There's no reason for me to make you take Dalvin Cook. Okay. So let me switch this over just because I don't want anybody to go through and have to see me doing all this work on the back end. But let me boot him from the league real quick. And this is assuming I can figure all this out, guys. Okay. Let's go see. Come on, Mason. The pressure is on right here. Let's go commissioner control. Okay, so yeah, we can remove him from the league. And let me get you the link real quick, Alejandro. I'm going to shoot it to you on Discord instead of Patreon, just because I'd imagine that's going to be... I'll send it to you on both, just whatever you're on, but I know your name on both. So we'll send that out. And guys, also, Alejandro is making us our other sign for the studio. I don't think it's going to be ready by the time we move in, because he said he had to go through and order some custom wood for it. But yeah, I am very excited to see that. And my man, let me get you this link real quick. And I apologize for the brief pause, my dudes, but I'm having to make sure that we are getting this out. Okay, so we got it to you on both Patreon and we got it to you on Discord, my man. So just join and we can take this over. Okay, so I am sorry again. So it looks like we have Alejandro joining. Let me assign him to that pick, and then we should be good to go. Okay, it looks like he automatically got assigned. Okay, so let's save Alejandro. Let me know who you want in the first, and let's save that. Let's go back over to the draft board. And again, I apologize for this, my dudes, but I really didn't want to make everybody just watch an auto pick throughout the entire draft. And I doubt that guy wanted to have his $90 just kind of be thrown down the drain like that. So Alejandro, let me know who you want ASAP at the 108, or we're going to have to turn on the clock again. Jordan says Alejandro might have to build 2 signs after this performance. No, Alejandro is helping us out here. Okay, so my man, please let me know who you want ASAP. Maybe you sent it to us on Discord. Nope. But if I don't get it in 30 seconds, guys, I will resume the draft just so we can keep this moving because we can't be live forever. And also, we just passed 50 likes in the live stream. Literally, if you check out the fantasy football channels that are about our size or a little bit bigger, nobody is growing at half the rate we are. And I mean that 100% because, of course, I pay attention to that stuff because it's literally my job. And it is like absurd the amount of support that y'all show this channel, because that's the only reason we're growing at this rate, both on the Dynasty channel and as well as on our main fantasy football channel. I mean, our main fantasy football channel just had a live stream get over 30,000 views. And that's because y'all going down there, destroying the like button. It's because y'all supporting the channel on Patreon. I mean, that's why we're moving to the new studio, because right now I am going to be completely transparent. I went from being a college kid with literally no money at all, and I was double majoring to get 2 degrees to then go to graduate school. And all of a sudden this happened. So I kind of got stuck into the current situation and kind of had to just adapt. So everything that I do right now is from my bedroom. So I am broadcasting, I am working probably 60 hours a week from my bedroom, having no time at all. So yeah, now we are actually getting a dedicated room just for streaming, just for making videos, just for me working. And that's 100% because of y'all. So I just want to give a massive thank you for all the support that you always show. Okay, so Alejandro says, Barkley, let me change this real quick. And yeah, let's get that going. Okay, great pick at the 106. Let's resume this draft. Again, I am really sorry about that, my dudes, for the pause. Trust me, I did not want to do that. We kind of had to pander a little bit. But yeah, again, thank you so much for everybody supporting the show, dropping likes, coming out to live streams, supporting the show on Patreon. And also a big thing is we were actually just able to order 100 custom flock hats. Now they're not going to get here until early September just because I have to go through the entire manufacturing process for it. I want to make sure we get a sample in our hands before I confirm the 100 order. But yeah, that's going to be all done through giveaways over there on Patreon. So I'm also really excited about that. So it looks like this draft, I mean, after going really quarterback heavy at the very beginning, since then it's kind of turned out to be exactly what you would expect in a Superflex draft, where you have those elite level quarterbacks, the elite level running backs going off the board right away. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what we have available to us at the 206. Y'all know that I have some players in mind. And a big thing that I need to do right now is I need to pull up our Dynasty rankings, because, I mean, live streaming and drafting at the same time isn't the easiest. And I've looked at these rankings literally hours and hours and hours and hours every single day, to the point where I feel confident enough about them. So yeah, let's have them up here just as a quick little cheat sheet. That way I don't have to necessarily just be trying to go off the top of my mind every single pick. Because if I have the rankings up that we have worked on, I mean, I am so confident to just go through with this entire draft. Okay, so now Dalvin Cook does go with a real pick, not just an auto pick there at the 112. Dalvin Cook, going to be completely honest, not really intrigued with him at the 112. There are other running backs that I would prefer. So I'm glad to see him go off the board, because I didn't really want to have to be teased with taking him at the 206. So like that he went off, so we don't necessarily have to make that decision. Okay, so now let's go through, and I don't even know if I want to be looking at who we are going to be trying to identify as our best option at the 206 right now, because we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks until then. So Russell Wilson at the 201, Alvin Kamara at the 202. So there's yet to be a single wide receiver go off the board. And keep in mind, this is tight end premium. So a tight end would be in play for me here at the 206 if we don't like what we were looking for at the other positions. But in a non-tight end premium format, honestly, I wouldn't bother even looking at that. Okay, so Barkin Spider is up, I believe, with his first pick, another member that traded out of the first round. So he made pretty much the identical trade that I did. He made this trade first where he traded his 110 for the 311 and the 511. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend doing that in a non-best ball tight end premium dynasty league, but these settings changed some things up. And then after we saw that, someone went through and they offered me, because the first thing I do in any single dynasty startup that I'm in is I go through and I send every single owner in the league an offer just to get a feeler, just so they know what I'm looking to do. And I sent them all an offer. I believe I was looking to trade my first for a third and a fourth. And of course, all of them ended up rejecting that, but then we got a counter saying, well, I'll give you my third and a fifth for your first. And we accepted that. So that's why we did not have the 107. But Kyle Pitts going off the board as the tight end 1. Oh my gosh. This is something we have seen before, but it's surprising every single time. And I will be the first one to admit Kyle Pitts, the best tight end prospect of all time, but I still don't know if I can get behind that selection at the 204, even in a tight end premium format. There are other players that I would be more intrigued in. So I honestly kind of like to see it. So we really have a player that we would like falling to us at the 206, because I wasn't going to be interested in Kyle Pitts in the second round. Okay, so it turns out that Locus is actually Kyle Pitts himself. We have someone on our Patreon flock chat that is named Kyle Pitts. His real name is Kyle Pitts. I broke down a dynasty team for him with the Patreon podcast, I believe 2 weeks ago. He joined, I believe, the flock on Patreon a little over a month ago. So looks like that is him. So taking Kyle Pitts at the 204 is a lot more understandable. Okay, so now at quarterback, obviously Trey Lance is staring at us. I mean, he is staring at us, tempting me to draft him. But there's also our dynasty running back 4 in Cam Akers. So essentially, I'm between two players here. It's, do I want Cam Akers or do I want Trey Lance? And trust me, you know that there's nobody higher on Trey Lance than I am. But at the end of the day, we are looking at this as a situation where I think in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds, we'll like the quarterback options there a little bit better than what we like with the running back options. So because of that, we are going to go running back here with Cam Akers, because I think we can find some quarterback value later on where I'm not necessarily feeling that confident that we'll be able to find that running back value. So it is very close for me, but we are going to be going with Akers. Okay. So now at the 207, let's see what is available. I mean, we have yet to had a wide receiver go off the draft board. So that is going to be very interesting. Trey Lance goes directly after us at the 207. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I definitely know that in a lot of other dynasty startups that people are watching this video and maybe participating in right now, they're not going to see Trey Lance go in the middle of the 2nd round. So if you're kind of confused on why I even considered taking Trey Lance there, it's because there's nobody you're going to find higher in Dynasty Fantasy Football than the flock on Trey Lance. And it's honestly kind of scary at this point, because I am so pot committed into Trey Lance that not only do I have him on all of my dynasty teams that I've been able to have a chance to draft him, but at the same time, I mean, every single podcast that I end up doing, breaking down someone's dynasty team over there on Patreon, I swear 80 to 90% of them, they all have Trey Lance as well. So not only are we on the line with our own money in our own leagues by drafting Trey Lance everywhere, but it looks like everybody in the flock Patreon has kind of been following our lead. I guess we maybe made a good argument in why you should be drafting Trey Lance. So for that reason, I mean, they all have gone and they have aggressively pursued him as well, to the point where, I mean, we got a lot on the line. I mean, Trey Lance, you better come through. This better not be a Mitchell Trubisky. This better not be a Blake Bortles. This better not be a Sam Darnold situation. Now, I don't think it can be that, just because we know his rushing upside in fantasy is going to be so appealing that even if he's a bad real-life NFL quarterback, he can still be a great fantasy quarterback. But yeah, we got a lot on the line with Trey Lance. Okay, so, it looks like Alejandro donated and said I misclicked. Man, I am Sorry. Okay, let me read this real quick. He says he meant to get Akers. My man, I am sorry. That is 100% on me. If I would have been checking the chat a little faster, we definitely could have made that switch. But now that we're so far down the board, I'm sorry you're stuck with Swift. And there's nothing I can do about it. I'm very sorry. That's my fault. I should have checked the chat instead of going on some little diatribe on why we like Trey Lance so much. So I apologize, my man. I am very sorry about that. Okay. But let's go through. And Selfmade says, Mason, if you don't mind, can you explain this league format? Best ball, I can Google it later instead. Okay, so a best ball league, essentially what you're going to be finding on a lot of best ball platforms is it's a type of fantasy football where traditionally you don't have waivers, you don't have any trading. All you do is you draft a team, you don't submit a starting lineup, and then that team goes throughout the season, it performs, and then you see where you stack up at the end, and that's the winner. Where when we're doing Dynasty Best Ball leagues, it's a little bit different where, yeah, we don't have waiver wires in any of our Dynasty leagues because we go so deep. I mean, we have pretty much 30, 35 rounds being drafted every single draft. And on top of that, we do an 8-round more rookie/veteran waiver wire draft every offseason. So that is going to be a little bit different with our leagues. But you can do trades in our best ball leagues. And that's going to be a big thing because I think the number one thing that you can do to make your dynasty league better is incentivize trading. I mean, a dynasty league without a lot of trading is just no fun at all. Okay. So yeah, Alejandro, I am very sorry about that, my man. Okay. So it looks like people are liking the Swift pick. And yeah, I think Swift in the second is fine. If we pull up our dynasty rankings real quick, I mean, I actually have DeAndre Swift ranked as our running back 10. I do have Cam Akers as our running back 4, though. I mean, I am so high on Cam Akers. Okay, so people are asking, what does third round reversal mean? Okay, so essentially a third round reversal is you go through the first 2 rounds normally, and then instead of the person who got the 101 getting the 301, because the 101 is such a large advantage, it actually switches over where the person who got the 112 gets the 301. Okay, so Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, some wide receivers going off the draft board. So if we are scrolling across positions right now, it's going to be interesting with what we are seeing. We are going to be up pretty soon with the 306. Now, at tight end, you have Kelsey, you have Waller. At wide receiver, you have Metcalf, Adams, Diggs, Hopkins. At running back, you have Henry, Dobbins, Zeke, Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, Joe Mixon, Travis Etienne. And at quarterback, you have Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts, Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Matthew Stafford, Tua Tagovailoa, and Ryan Tannehill. Okay, Tom says, my dynasty startup is doing a thing where our names are put in a hat, and when you are picked, you can pick where you want to draft. Should I risk it and go high or trade back and safely pick the 6th? No, man, what you need to do is if you're doing a Kentucky-style draft, which is you would draft your dynasty spots where you're going to be in the startup, I mean, literally, you go for the 101. If the 101 isn't available, you go for the 102. If the 102 isn't available, you go for the 103. I mean, it's honestly very, very simple. Now, beyond that, then you can get a little bit more unique and you can go through and see where you like to pick. But getting a Patrick Mahomes, a Josh Allen, a Kyler Murray is such a significant edge where, I mean, I'm doing that every single time. Okay, so we have a little bit of a wide receiver run going here with Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, all going at the beginning of the 3rd round. Love those picks. I mean, I do think you need to get those bell cow running backs while they're still available. I still do think you need to be taking guys like Najee Harris, Cam Akers over the wide receivers in a dynasty format, as long as they're running backs on their rookie contracts. But yeah, no, here, once you get to this range where the running back tier is seeing a fall off, I'm completely fine deciding to go wide receiver. Okay, James says, can we agree that Swift is more talented than Akers? It is just the situation. I feel like I can't trust McVay to stay feeding Akers. My man, I don't necessarily think I can agree that DeAndre Swift is a worldly talent compared to Cam Akers. And this is coming from someone who had DeAndre Swift ranked as their running back 1 going into the NFL draft last year. But I still think we actually do prefer Cam Akers and DeAndre Swift almost neutral in terms of their talent profiles. And then obviously, I prefer the situation in LA. So Waller's off the board. And the thing here is, if I take Kelsey, I think in a tight end premium league, he is easily the best value available. But the problem is, I lock this roster into being a win now team. Because if you have Travis Kelsey as your 2nd pick in your draft, I mean, it's going to be a win now roster. And I don't necessarily want to, lock ourselves into that right now. So we have a couple different routes we can go with. If I pull up my rankings on Patreon, I'm not going to say who my highest, actually everybody in this draft has my rankings available on Patreon, so it doesn't really matter. I don't want to say them out loud still. What I actually think we do is I think we continue to hammer in running back because we are about to have a fall off in tiers. Yeah, so we're going to go running back because I'm fine getting one of these quarterbacks. I'm fine getting one of these wide receivers at the 308. But I just want to make sure that we are getting Travis Etienne on this team. I know he's a little bit further down the draft board, but pairing Travis Etienne and Cam Akers to 3-down running backs on their rookie contracts is exactly how I want to start my dynasty startup. And I mean, we actually have a video coming out tomorrow where I illustrate exactly how valuable those guys are that are still on their rookie contracts at the running back position. And those running backs, how they have been great bets to make in dynasty as rookies if they have the profile that you like. So I know a lot of people probably wanted us to go Travis Kelce. And now here at the 308, this is where it gets really, really interesting because we start very young where this team isn't necessarily a win now team with Akers and Etienne to start it off. But Kelce is such a good value here. Kelce going to be 32 this season though. The thing is, if it was Kittle, if it was Waller, I would 100% go that route. But the problem is the beginning of this build makes it hard to draft Travis Kelce. And I know it sounds crazy, but it's let me sit here and let me think about it a little bit. Because the thing with Stefan Diggs, I believe Stefan Diggs, 27 years old. Yeah, Stefan Diggs, 27. Adams, I don't know if we can go with Adams, kind of the same problem that we have currently with Travis Kelce. Let me look at my wide receiver rankings, see if we have anybody about to fall off in the tier. So we do have 3 guys left available in that wide receiver tier. And another thing is I like so many tight ends later on in the draft where I just think Kelce is a really bad fit for this roster. Okay, we are stuck in no man's land here though. I can't do it. I can't pass up on Travis Kelce here at the 308 in a tight end premium league. We're going to be taking Travis Kelce, even though I don't like the pick. But a big thing here is, I mean, if we get to the end of the draft and I think that we are a productive struggle team, I don't think we're ready to compete right away, then I'll just be looking to trade away Travis Kelce. But I mean, Travis Kelce has been the tight end 1 in points per game the past 3 seasons. I mean, it hasn't even been close. So yeah, we are going to be going with Travis Kelce as our 3rd player in the startup draft. Please let me know what y'all are thinking about this start where we went Akers, Etienne, Travis Kelce in a tight end premium best ball Superflex draft. So no, we do not have a quarterback available to us yet, but we have the 407, the 506, and the 508 coming up pretty soon. So I do like the start. I'm happy we went with it. I definitely would have preferred having CeeDee Lamb here. Maybe we could have gone Javonte Williams, to be completely honest. Javonte Williams would have fit this team very nicely where I probably wouldn't have drafted another running back at all. And as soon as I see that Javonte Williams pick off the board, I instantly regret Travis Kelce, to be completely honest. Now, Chicago, let's see where you are right here. No, Chimichanga, not Chimichanga, Chicago. The little wording there was harder to read. My man, I would trade you Travis Kelce for Javonte Williams straight up. That was a great pick. Nash's cast saying Devin Duvernay was clearly the pick there. Yeah, no, the thing is, I believe we can get Devin Duvernay most likely falling back to us at the 407. Now, maybe we're kind of risking it, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay, so yeah, it looks like a bunch of people wanted me to go with Travis Kelce as well. Someone said Travis Kelce and Ezekiel Elliott. No, we couldn't have gone with Ezekiel Elliott there. I couldn't even have considered it, to be completely honest. I mean, not over Travis Etienne. And also, guys, we are almost at 80 likes on this live stream. Thank you so much for everybody going down there and smashing that like button. I mean, it definitely helps us get recommended to new listeners. And yeah, thank you, my dudes. And I want to remind everyone, this is a Flock Patreon Dynasty Startup Draft. This is not a mock draft. This is our 17th Dynasty League that we have, and we're going to have a ton of redraft. I mean, we're probably going to do, I want to say 50 Patreon redraft leagues this season because I believe once we get to our new studio, I'll be live streaming every single night on our Redraft Fantasy Football channel doing Patreon drafts, not Dynasty. Dynasty, we're going to keep it limited slightly. We are still going to have more Dynasty leagues getting started up this offseason. But yeah, we are going to have so many chances for everybody a part of the Flock Patreon to play in a ton of leagues. I'm really excited about it. Okay, Job Webb says, I don't understand why it's so bad to take one old guy and the rest young if you want to. it's not so bad. The thing is, I really like to polarize our dynasty rosters though, where I'm going, okay, I'm either going all win now, I'm coming away with the 112, I'm winning the championship, or I'm going to go productive struggle. Everything that I care about is just getting value in 2022. I want to earn the 101. The worst place to be in dynasty is kind of stuck in the middle where you don't necessarily know if you're a contender, you don't know if you're a rebuilder, and you're just there earning the rookie pick 106, 107, and really never coming away with any real money in the league, and you're never coming away with early enough draft picks to turn your team into a juggernaut. So that's why I like to polarize the teams. That's why I like to build stacks. That's why I like to make sure that we're either going to be last or first. And when you kind of go young and old at the same time, that's how I find that you build a very average team that doesn't have access to elite level upside. But I think the value there with Kelce at the 308, I mean, definitely should have gone Javonte the more that we think about it. But, oh my God. Gosh, y'all are seeing me full on tilt here. I think that Travis Kelce pick was bad, to be completely honest. Hopefully we can make a trade mid-season where we can pivot over and we can get to a Devonte Williams. And Travis Kelce is going to be giving us a ton of production right away. Okay, Caden says, bruh, I keep getting sniped. Caden, let me know what your team name is in here real quick so I can see how you have gotten started. Okay, so Justin Fields goes by Barkin Spider. Okay, so Barkin Spider starts his draft off very balanced with Najee Harris, DK Metcalf, and Justin Fields. Now, he's not going to have another pick for quite a while, but he does have 2 fifths, so that is going to be something to watch. Okay, so Caden, let me know your team name because it looks like a lot of people in here are calling you out right now. So Stefan Diggs at the 312. Okay, so Diggs, I mean, that is just crazy value. It's just crazy to see that Devonte Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Terry McLaurin, Michael Thomas, Allen Robinson, Godwin. I mean, they're all going in the 4th round. And that's kind of what you see in these dynasty startups where people know how quick those running backs are to go off the board. I mean, those wide receivers are going to fall a decent amount of time. Okay, Caden says his team is San Diego. Okay, so let's see where he's decided to go. Okay, so he's built a very balanced team. Okay, this is honestly going to be... This is going to be an interesting start where it looks like he traded his first for a 3rd, 5th, and 7th. Okay. Man, Caden, I am jealous of your team already. I mean, CEH, Dobbins, 2 running backs on their rookie contracts, 2 veteran wide receivers, and you have all these extra bullets to fire in the 5th and 7th rounds. Yeah, so, man, I love your start, to be completely honest. So, it looks like you said you got sniped on Justin Fields, Jamar Chase. Interesting, but I do think you have a great start. Okay, so we are going to be up at the 407, and there are just so many players that we can consider, so don't necessarily want to have to try to just pinpoint one right now. Okay, so James was saying Sark was a hell of a hire for Texas. I hate to admit it. My man, hopefully. Joe Mixon at the 402. So let's see what running backs Joe Mixon went over. He went over Derrick Henry, Ezekiel Elliott, Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs. So I understand with Joe Mixon that he's actually a lot younger than you expect because he was drafted at 20 years old in that 2017 NFL draft class. But the thing is, I mean, if you look at his contract, he really only has guaranteed money this season. It's not necessarily like an Ezekiel Elliott situation where you know he has that guaranteed money for the next few years. So even with him being a little bit younger than those other options, I don't necessarily think that he is a better long-term piece, as crazy as that sounds, because the running back position is just so different than wide receiver in fantasy, where most of it is dictated by opportunities dictated by the contract of the running back. So I really like to pay attention to that rather than just the running back age. While yes, 100% running back age does matter a lot. Ian says, Sam Ellinger at the 407, absolute smash. Yes, sir. You know we are going there. Okay, John says, how high is T. Higgins going in these flock startups? My man, you are going to see. I believe we took him in the last startup, to be honest. Okay, so we have another running back going off the board in Ezekiel Elliott. Okay, so let me go through and highlight all the teams real quick, and please let me know in the chat, let me know in the comment section what you actually like in terms of the best team, the worst team right now. Okay, so this is Caden. Here, let's just go a little faster. Okay, this is an interesting start. I knew that DVB was actually very active during trades. I didn't see how it shook up his draft, though. So it looks like he had 2 first-round picks. He had a second. Then he had none in the 3rd, 5th, or I'm sorry. Yeah, the 3rd, 4th, or 5th. He has a couple in the 6th. Okay, so that is going to be interesting to see how that turns out. There's Knicks. Here is Sam's. Let's see where he's about to go. Here's Jack. Chimichanga. The Flock. God, oh my God. This guy, I've been in a lot of drafts with this guy called the Flock Network, and it seems like he always knows what he's doing. I mean, I need to get him on, interview him about his draft strategy, interview him about his process sometime, because, I mean, there's probably a lot to learn right here with this sharp drafter. Now, Wanted Alex wasn't planning on hopping in the draft today, but does it for us nonetheless, because we have an MIA member that I definitely need to get a refund for. And then we have we have Kyle Pitts here at the 109. Now Barkin Spider, JP Michella, and Dark Knight. Okay, so Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins go with the 405 and the 404. I definitely wasn't going to be considering Derrick Henry, so I am happy to see him go off the board. Okay, so now if we are going to be up on the clock, there are a few different ways we can go. But this is what I hate so much about this Travis Kelce pick here at the 308, to be completely honest. I'll say it in a second. Okay, Jalen Hurts goes. But what sucks about that Travis Kelce pick at the 308 is, say I wanted to go with the Deshaun Watson here, say I thought that was the best value available, it doesn't make sense for me to draft both Travis Kelce and Deshaun Watson on the same roster. Whereas if instead I would have gone with the Devonte Williams at the 308 and we would have stayed with young players that were going to be producing but have long-term value at the same time, then I could decide to go with the Deshaun Watson, because if he doesn't play in 2021, then it doesn't really matter. I'll just have the best team in the league in 2022. But we can't be thinking that way when our third round pick is spent on Travis Kelce. So instead, I think we actually possibly go a little bit off the board here for a lot of other people, but he is the only wide receiver left in our tier 2 of wide receivers in our Dynasty rankings. And we're going to kind of pivot over. We are going to go win now with another piece. We're going to go with Devonte Adams at the 407. So now our start is Akers, ETN, Kelce, Devonte Adams. And now, guys, I actually made a video yesterday on our main fantasy football channel illustrating how good Devonte Adams was in terms of just last season. Devonte Adams last year put up one of, if not the best wide receiver season of all time in fantasy football, if you remove the 1 week where he left early due to the ankle injury. I mean, he was dominant, and it wasn't like it was just off a touchdown volume either. I mean, he dominated at every level of the field to a point where we have never seen before, and it's kind of being swept under the rug just because the Rodgers situation. So yeah, Adams at the 407, we are going to like that pick. Okay, so yeah, we actually have, if you pull up our Dynasty rankings right now, we have Devonte Adams ranked as our wide receiver 7. And we have him ranked directly behind Calvin Ridley and Stefan Diggs. And we have him ranked directly ahead of CeeDee Lamb and DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, I have Devonte Adams ranked ahead of Lamb, Chase, Hopkins, and I believe that's it for the wide receivers that went ahead of him. Okay, but Austin Eckler goes there at the 408. And also, guys, we just passed 100 likes on the live stream. Thank you so much for everybody going down there and dropping a like. While I have my phone on the desk, what I need to do is I need to pull up this live stream myself and drop a like on it, because every like matters. So, of course, you know we got to get our burner account out here to make sure we are boosting those stats, getting us recommended to new listeners. Okay, got that like out there. That is perfect. Okay, so it looks like people actually enjoyed that Devonte Adams pick. I know that we took Devonte Adams at the 207 in our high-stakes redraft format. That was one quarterback, and I love Devonte Adams at the 207. I went, yes, it's a risky pick with the Rodgers situation not settled, but I don't care about risk in fantasy. What I care about is upside. Risk is way overblown when you understand that the majority of people are going to lose the league regardless. Your win rate should be, on average, 8.3%. Now, what we're shooting to do is we're shooting to get that up closer to 20%, and that is how you become an elite fantasy football player. So knowing that the best of the best of the best fantasy football players still lose 4 out of 5 leagues at the minimum that they play in, I mean, all I'm doing is looking for upside. I'm hunting for upside in every league that I'm in to try to finish as the first guy overall. Okay, so now let's go through. Jordan says, haha, I was about to say you have to take Adams after yesterday's video. Yeah, I mean, Adams was by far and away the best value there. Okay, so Mike says, Mason, are you going to finish the draft as a more of a win now team and trade Travis Etienne? Honestly, I'm not going to trade Travis Etienne or Cam Akers off this roster, to be completely honest. Okay, so Kyle Pitts says he misclicked. Okay, I see that in the chat, so Man, if you misclicked Aaron Jones, you better let me know who you want ASAP so I can change this. Because, okay, so he wanted Montgomery. Let me change that real quick. Okay, changed. And if Bark and Spider needs more time, if he was thinking David Montgomery, we can reset that. Okay, John says, I'm a new subscriber, so I'm wondering if you ever grade subscriber drafts. Actually, what I do literally every single day, and I spend so much time doing this, is... I mean, literally, you know, if you're a member of the Patreon flock, how much time I spend doing this. But I make about 5 to 6 Patreon podcasts every single day, just grading subscriber drafts, grading teams, coming up with trade suggestions on how you should improve your roster. So we do all of that over there on Patreon. Don't really do much of that on YouTube. But yeah, so please, please, please consider joining the Patreon if you want to join the flock. And I know if you say you're a new subscriber, possibly that's not going to be for you. But maybe if you watch the videos for a few more weeks, you enjoy them, you think that my opinion is meaningful, which I promise you it's not, then you can go through and consider doing that. Caden says, trade Travis Etienne to me. Okay, let's see if we can work a trade right now on the stream. Okay, so honestly, no. You're not getting Etienne, my man. Okay, so Michael Thomas going at the 412. Brian says Javonte Williams over Mixon, Zeke, and Henry is sad. If right now I pull up my Dynasty rankings over there on Patreon, I actually have Javonte Williams as the running back 16, and I have Ezekiel Elliott and Derrick Henry as the running back 14 and 15, but I've actually considered moving Javonte Williams ahead of them. I'm not going to lie. I have had that thought cross my mind. Okay, so Caden says Hawkinson at the 411 question mark. I mean, TJ Hawkinson, especially in high stakes redraft leagues, has been someone that's been climbing up. I'm fine with TJ Hawkinson at the 411, to be completely honest. While, yeah, there would have been some other players I would have preferred, I think I would actually rather have TJ Hawkinson than these veteran running backs and an Aaron Jones or an Austin Eckler, to be completely honest. Okay, so I'm looking at my rankings right now on that sheet, and I see that a couple other people are on there with me. So I'm assuming that people are looking at us and making sure that they can snipe us with this upcoming pick here at the 506. That's always a downside with drafting with people who know your rankings, that know literally everything that you're trying to do in a draft. But it is what it is. We're going to continue to grind away. And I mean, I like the start that we have so far. And what's nice about picking in the middle of the draft, obviously I did not get to choose that I was picking in the middle of the draft, is that you kind of just let the draft fall to you. If you're picking at the end here, I mean, if you're a Dark Knight, you really, if you want a player, like say you want Matthew Stafford and you think that he should go in the late 5th, well, you don't have that option. You kind of just have to take him where he's going to go at the 501. So yeah, that is interesting, but I think that getting to pick at the 506 is definitely an advantage just because you get to see the value fall to you. And if you like a player, you can still not necessarily have to reach on him and possibly get him in the next round. Mike says Diggs and a 7th for Travis Etienne. Okay, so it looks like we have a trade on the table. But no, this is not from Caden. So 7th is at the 712. I would do Travis Etienne and I would do Travis Etienne for Diggs in the 7th. Just because this is a win now roster, so I think that would make sense. So yeah, I would do Travis Etienne for Stefan Diggs in the 7th round pick if you want that, Caden. Okay, so Stafford and Tannehill going off the board, and we have yet to draft a quarterback. If we pull up the best quarterbacks available, we got Rodgers, Watson, Tua, Zach Wilson, Baker Mayfield, Carson Wentz, Tom Brady. So there are some guys, obviously that list is running short though. Okay, so Stefan says Henderson had better stats than Cam Akers. My man, please show me where you're drawing that data from. Are you showing it to me when Cam Akers was playing with a brutal rib injury that he didn't get over until the end of the season? Are you going to also take into consideration that with Cam Akers, that he was the youngest running back in the NFL draft last year, and he's still younger than Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, Michael Carter, and Trey Sermon? Are we all going to take that into consideration? Are we going to take into consideration that the offense got a massive upgrade with Matthew Stafford coming in, that Malcolm Brown is gone, going to take less targets away? Okay, but anyway, Watson going off the board here. So Watson definitely would have been someone that I would have considered, but now we don't have that luxury. So at running back, Jacobs, Sanders are going to be my best available in Dynasty. At wide receiver, I believe we are going to have Godwin, Higgins as our best available, maybe Brandon Ayuk as well. And at tight end, Mark Andrews, Noah Fant. So let's go through. Let's pull up these rankings. Rodgers is kind of interesting given the fact that we do have Devonte Adams and we're kind of making a bet that Rodgers plays this year regardless. So it's essentially the perfect stack that you could go out there and discuss. But there's a quarterback that is in my tier 4 of guys that I think we actually need to take here, just because with those wide receivers, with those running backs, I'm completely fine getting one at the 508, and we pick just here anyway. So instead, I believe we're actually going to go Zach Wilson, and we're going to continue to do exactly what I didn't want to do. We are going to build a team that is very young and very old. I mean, a long-term play and a production right now play. So I don't like having this build, but I mean, I think that's the best value available. Now, T. Higgins does go at the 507, and I think we actually go wide receiver here. We have a wide receiver ranked ahead of T. Higgins in these rankings, and he's someone that I got so wrong on. I know pretty much everybody in this live chat knows, but I have to bring it up every opportunity I get. Every time that I draft him, I am legally obligated to talk about this. So yes, we are going to have to draft Chris Godwin, and the legal obligation that I have after drafting Chris Godwin is I have to go back to 2019 and remind everyone that was a listener of this channel, or inform you that if you weren't listening to this channel, how much of a donkey and how stupid I am. So back in 2019, when Jameis Winston led the NFL in passing yards, when Chris Godwin broke out from being a 4th round pick in fantasy to being the wide receiver 2 overall in points per game, only behind Michael Thomas. That offseason, I was out here standing on the rooftops screaming, instead of the British are coming, I was screaming, Chris Godwin is the most overrated player in all of fantasy football. I was adamant about it. I was going out and saying if I had 100 fantasy drafts, I would not draft Chris Godwin in a single one. I wouldn't consider him in the 4th round. I wouldn't consider him in the 5th round. I thought that he was worth a 6th round pick, and he was going way too high. Well, then Chris Godwin came out. He was essentially a league winner, was the wide receiver 2 overall in points per game. So yeah, we have to get that out every single time we talk about Chris Godwin, just because I want to make sure that any new listeners to this channel understand how stupid I am. So yeah, we are legally obligated to do that. But a big thing with Godwin is I think he's a great value now. 25 years old. This is a player that had more volume than Mike Evans last year. Mike Evans had more touchdown efficiency, so Mike Evans ended up being right there in production. But Godwin was more impressive based on the volume that he had. At the same time, he's younger. He's playing under a franchise tag, so possibly he can get out of that situation and he can be an alpha wide receiver 1 next season. And at the same time, he's been impressive. He was the wide receiver 2 overall in fantasy last year, and here we were drafting him as the wide receiver. Let's count this out real quick. We drafted him as the wide receiver 15. I love that value. Okay, so Zach saying Wilson is fine for win now. In my opinion, people underrate the passing volume we'll have with a bit of rushing upside. He's going to be better than people expect in fantasy. Yeah, I mean, Zach Wilson, the big thing is I just like the value compared to the other players that we are seeing. So, I mean, maybe if we would have had a Ryan Tannehill or Matthew Stafford, there would have been perfect. And that is honestly what I was kind of shooting for. And I thought we were going to have those quarterbacks available to us at the 506 and the 508, but it didn't happen. So we kind of had to make a pivot and we went over to Zach Wilson. I've already bought the dip on Aaron Rodgers and a few startups this offseason. So I don't necessarily want to be doubling down there because we already have so many eggs in that basket. And I don't really love Rodgers to begin with. So Zach Wilson, someone that I don't have a lot of, and he was actually the highest ranked quarterback available in our Dynasty rankings. Okay, John says, praying for Fields to Godwin next year. My man, that could possibly happen, but what would have to happen is, Allen Robinson would not be back in Chicago if that happens, because we know Allen Robinson and Chris Godwin are both going to get big-time contracts this offseason. So I'd be surprised if the Bears decide to pay for both. But Allen Robinson does go directly after we take Chris Godwin. And also, guys, if you have not dropped a like on the live stream yet, what are you doing? Please go down there, drop that like. It helps us out so much. I mean, we have gotten over 100 likes, so I'm imagining that the majority of people in this live stream have decided to drop that. And also, let me know what y'all think of our start so far. So we have Akers, ETN at running back. We have Kelsey at tight end. This is tight end premium league. We have Adams and Chris Godwin at wide receiver. And we have Zach Wilson at quarterback. And this is a super flex league as well. Okay, Tom says, my startup results include Justin Herbert, Justin Jefferson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, J.K. Dobbins, Javonte Williams, Noah Fant, and T. Higgins. My man, I am going to be assuming that you're playing in a 8-man league, maybe a 10-man league. If that's a 12-team league, that is ridiculous. Okay, so Mike says, that's a tough decision. If you can get CMC or Saquon at the 107, then I'd go Wilson. If you can get Lamar, then I'd go Akers. Either way, it's tough though. Okay, so I don't know what that's in reference to. But it looks like Rodgers and Tua both go at the end of the 5th round. Tua is someone that I honestly think I need to consider moving down our dynasty rankings, just because you're looking at him as a quarterback that in high-stakes redraft leagues, I'm getting nervous. In high-stakes redraft leagues, Tua Tagovailoa is going at the very, very end of the drafts. I mean, you're seeing him as a player that is essentially a streaming option in redraft leagues right now. And I was considering him a lot more than that in Dynasty. I was considering him a lot more than that in redraft as well. But a big thing is, who am I to argue with the entire high-stakes redraft community? I mean, it's not like I can be the only one right when all of them are wrong. I mean, that would be very, very strange. So I'm having to kind of reevaluate our Tua Tagovailoa stance. Right now, if I pull up our dynasty rankings, we currently have him ranked as our quarterback 17. We have him ahead of Aaron Rodgers, Baker Mayfield, Mac Jones, Kirk Cousins, Tom Brady, Daniel Jones. I think maybe we need to consider moving him behind Aaron Rodgers. Okay, Tom says 10-team league with about half of us are smart and the other half are noobs. I mean, I get sent some crazy dynasty teams over there on Patreon to do podcast stuff, and I just have to sit there and go, what were your league mates thinking? I mean, 90% of the drafts that I get sent on Patreon, that people don't even send me the drafts, they just send me their teams, and I go, you need to show me how this happened. You need to show me how you built this monster. It's like, go send me a screenshot of the draft right now, or I'm not doing a podcast breakdown of this because I think it's a Photoshop team. And they'll send it to me, and I'm looking at it, and I'm going, one of your league mates took Derrick Henry in the 1st round. One of your league mates took Julio Jones in the 3rd. I'm like, who are you playing with? Are you playing with children? I mean, it is crazy what some startups actually look like. Michael says, what's most important to draft in Dynasty? I'll say the most important thing in Dynasty Fantasy Football is understanding your league format and understanding how it applies to your draft strategy and the player prototypes that you are trying to target in those drafts. Okay, so now we are going to be up at the 607, and I don't want to give away too much of what we were thinking here just because there are so many different routes we can go. Jalen Waddle at the 603. That is a bold call here. I mean, if we pull up the board, you have Jacobs, Sanders, Andrews, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Mike Evans. I mean, that may be the boldest pick of the draft so far. But a big thing is, and I said this earlier, is when you're picking here near the end, I mean, it's going to be very hard to go through and draft, and you just kind of have to go get your players. So that's exactly what he did there with Jalen Waddle. But it looks like we are in a little bit of a wide receiver run. Now, at the 607, I think maybe we go off the board. It's going to be interesting. Okay, so I don't want to say too much here just because we are one pick away. Tom says, if anyone tells you that Henry went in the 1st, that's cap. My man, no, people send me screenshots so I can figure out what's going on when I make those podcast breakdowns. Aaron says, did I miss some news on Keenan Allen or did he kill someone? Why'd he fall so much? My man, I don't really understand it either. I think if we pull up our dynasty rankings here, you're going to see, I mean, that Keenan Allen was definitely the best value available. We have Keenan Allen as our wide receiver 18, and I believe he ended up going as like the wide receiver 24 here. So yeah, that is a massive value on Keenan Allen. Okay, so Mike Evans goes to the 606. We would possibly have been considering Mike Evans. I think that is definitely the last wide receiver in that tier. So now we are looking at two different things. We're looking at, can we take Mark Andrews and get away? I think we go Mark Andrews, to be completely honest. At the 607, when we already have Travis Kelce, I mean, I think what it does in a tight end premium format is it potentially causes other people to reach on tight end just slightly. And yeah, I mean, Mark Andrews at the 607 in a tight end premium league, I think is good value compared to where Darren Waller, compared to where Kyle Pitts, where they went. So maybe I'm overthinking this, but let me go scroll through real quick just to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Yeah, no, I think we're going to go Mark Andrews here in a tight end premium league. With the settings, it makes sense. So now our start is Akers, Etienne, Kelsey, Andrews. Wide receiver, we have Adams, Godwin, and Zach Wilson as our standalone quarterback. So it's a very weird looking team. I will 100% say that, but we're about scoring points. We're not about anything else. Now, Noah Fant goes here at the 608. So it looks like possibly a little bit of a tight end run happens. I just think, I mean, we actually got this question earlier on YouTube. I don't think it was on Patreon. Maybe I'm mistaken. I'm sorry if you DM me on Patreon and I thought it was on YouTube. But anyway, we got a question saying, Mason, I am picking at the 102. Obviously, I know to go Dalvin Cook here, and this is for a redraft league. Do I then decide to go with George Kittle and Darren Waller at the 2-3 turn and force people to go tight end later on? And my response to that was, no, if it's not a tight end premium format, you simply can't do that, because there are too many just completely punt the tight end position options available. Because you can go through, and if we pull up the very bottom of our tight end rankings, there are so many guys that you can get away with having guys your tight end 1 in a non-tight end premium league. I mean, you can go get Tyler Higbee, Robert Tonyan, Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, Gerald Everett. You have so many different options. But in a tight end premium format, it's going to be a lot harder to get away with those players. And we know in a tight end premium format, they can also pop off in the flexes. Okay, so Colby says Andrews has no extra value in a tight end premium due to his lack of target volume. Let me pull up my dynasty, not my dynasty guide real quick, my 2021 fantasy football guide real quick, so I can see the key stats that we have on Mark Andrews, and let's see if your hypothesis here holds up at all. Now, Laviska Shenault going at the 609 is a little sad. I was hoping that we were going to be able to get Laviska Shenault in either the 7th or the 8th round. So Kyle Pitts going out there and getting our guy. So let's pull up the tight end section in our draft guide. Okay, so at tight end, we actually have last year, Mark Andrews in year 3 gets over 6 targets a game. In 2019, he had over 6 targets a game as well. So if you go through and you see that, that's what TJ Hawkinson had last year. That's essentially a little bit less than George Kittle. He's getting the volume. The only tight ends getting more volume than him are Travis Kelce and George Kittle. So how are you going to try to tell me that he isn't impacted by it being tight end premium? I don't understand that at all. Okay, so Miles Sanders goes to the 610. That is fantastic value for Miles Sanders. Honestly, I was considering taking him at the 607. But here, this start from Bark and Spider, Najee Harris, DK Metcalf, Aaron Jones, Terry McLaurin, and Miles Sanders for his positional players. And at quarterback, he picked up Justin Fields and Aaron Rodgers. Okay, so something that's always fun to do is go through and look at how these trades turned out. So if we look at my trade real quick, and we look at the 2 extra picks that I got, we got Travis Kelce and Chris Godwin. The pick I traded away was Lamar Jackson. So essentially, I traded away Lamar Jackson for Travis Kelce and Chris Godwin in this league. And in a non-tight end premium, non-best ball format, maybe I don't like that trade, but in this settings, I do. And then here, Bark and Spider essentially traded away Jonathan Taylor for Justin Fields and Aaron Rodgers. Diamond Viking says, what's up, Mason? How's your day going so far? Very, very good, my man. I think that we are actually going to finalize up our entire draft guide. We have a few other notes that we need to put on it. And I told the editor I was going to get it to her by the 17th. So that's today. So I better get it to her because she's edited it mostly up until this point. But there are going to be small adjustments that I need to make sure that she can get through over the next 2 or 3 days. Because if she doesn't edit it, I promise you it's not going to be readable for everybody. It's going to be very, very, very long too. Okay, so Jacobs goes at the 701. So I promise you I definitely would have gone with either one of those running backs if they fell to us at the 706. If it wasn't tight end premium, I would have gone with one of those running backs here at the 607. But we also have Noah Fant and Dallas Goedert going at the end of the 6th round as well. Okay, so Michael says, do you like Jared Cook this year as a massive sleeper on the Chargers? Honestly, no. I'm not a fan of Jared Cook whatsoever. I don't think I've drafted him in a single league. I don't think I have him in a single league. And a big thing I want to point out here is Laviska Shenault going before Jerry Jeudy. I think that is 100% the correct call. I think that is 100% what you should be doing. Now, I will admit that Jerry Jeudy was a better prospect coming into the NFL. That is 100% true. But Laviska Shenault was a fantastic prospect in his own right. He has less target competition on his offense, and his quarterback is Trevor Lawrence compared to Jerry Jeudy's quarterback being the combination of Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock. So I actually prefer having Laviska Shenault over Jerry Jeudy. We have them that way in our Dynasty rankings, and I think that's the correct way to have it. JN coming out with the donation. Thank you, my man. Says, would you rather have Saquon, Lance, Etienne, Adams, Wilson, or Akers, Etienne, Kelsey, Adams, Godwin, Wilson? Hook 'em, boys. Okay, so let's go through. And okay, so you're saying, would you rather have Saquon and Lance essentially versus Akers, Kelsey? Okay. Let me write. Do I have? Yeah, I have my to-do list right here. I'm going to have to kind of decipher what you're asking us here, my man, just because that is kind of hard to read through YouTube. Okay, so it's Saquon, Trey Lance, Etienne, Adams, Wilson versus Akers, Etienne, Kelsey. Adams, Godwin, Wilson. Okay, so let me cross off what's on both sides of it. That way it's a lot easier to see for me because these are way too many players to try to evaluate in a trade. Okay, so we can get rid of ETN as well. So essentially this is saying, would you rather have Trey Lance and Saquon Barkley or Cam Akers, Travis Kelce, and Chris Godwin? It depends. In a regular league, I think we would prefer having Saquon and Trey Lance, but in a best ball league, I definitely prefer having the 3 assets compared to the 2. Okay. Yeah, Jay, and like I said, I think we prefer the package in terms of best ball, and I think in a non-best ball league, we probably prefer Trey Lance and Saquon Barkley, but a lot goes into that. Okay, so now let's pull this up. Okay, we're going to be kind of at a crappy spot here at the 706. Okay, so if we pull up our wide receiver rankings, I'm just trying to see where the tier breaks are and how many guys are in the same tier, so I'm not overlooking someone that I definitely want to have over. Just because we put so much work into these rankings and tiers that I definitely want to make sure we're using them as we live stream, because it's hard to live stream and draft at the same time anyway. Okay, so it looks like running back and wide receiver, there's nobody that really stands out of being a tier ahead of everyone else for us. A wide receiver, there are about 4 guys that I could get away with taking. At running back, I'm honestly not too intrigued here. Tight end, let's see if tight end would be in play. Okay, so Baker Mayfield goes here at the 705. Okay, so I think we're actually going to be probably looking at wide receiver. Running back, I know a lot of people are probably going to be screaming at me to take one, but we're not, and we're going to go to wide receiver, where I know a lot of people will want Kenny Galladay. A lot of people will want Cortland Sutton. I'm not going to make anybody happy. I'm going to make probably a lot of people upset here by going off the board slightly. And let me just double check one more time. Okay, so we have 2 players ranked back-to-back, and I don't know if I want to say their names out loud just because I maybe want one guy to fall back to us. Okay, so just give me a second to think about this, guys, because it is definitely not an easy decision. You know what? F it. I'm going to get my guy. I don't care how many leagues we have him in. He actually scored like half a point less than Terry McLaurin last year at a younger age, and all of a sudden, he's worth nothing in Dynasty. He has historic age-adjusted production seasons under his belt. Yes, he was disappointing last year. Yes, I was horribly wrong on him last year and calling him a massive Dynasty value. Here, I'm not liking the value. I think it's fair at the 706. So I know people are going to troll us for this pick. I know people are not going to like it, but let's go with it. Let's get our man Juju Smith-Schuster. Let's get some. I wish we had like TikTok dance emojis in the chat, because I wish this man got off TikTok. DJ Chark was the other wide receiver that we were considering there at the 707. So yeah, we are going to get DJ Moore as our wide receiver 3 on a team that has Akers, Etienne at running back, Adams, Godwin, Juju at wide receiver, Kelsey, Andrews at tight end, and Zach Wilson at the 506 as our only quarterback so far. Okay, so Michael says, do you like Kenny Galladay with Daniel Jones? I know a lot of people want to look at Daniel Jones being the highest graded deep ball passer last year, think that's going to translate well to Kenny Galladay. But guys, it was off of a very small sample. Daniel Jones, if you look at passes completed over 20 yards, wasn't necessarily even close to league average. So please don't necessarily think that he's all of a sudden some great down the field passer. And also, we need to understand that the Giants are possibly going to have the worst offensive line in football, which is going to impact Kenny Galladay on how far he can get downfield. And actually, him and Juju are going close to the same range in high-stakes redraft leagues right now. Juju is significantly younger on the other hand, so that's why we're going to be going with Juju over Kenny Galladay. Okay, so someone asking DJ Moore, my man, if DJ Moore was available, I promise you I would have taken him. If we passed on him here, I'm going to probably end the stream and cry. Okay, but no, DJ Moore was taken at the 505. Okay, so Cbro says, I don't think you should value Shenault so highly. He's never played a full year in the college or pros. That is definitely a valid concern that you can be bringing up with Laviska Shenault. I am fine with someone using that as an argument over him. And also, we just passed 130 likes on the live stream. Thank you so much, my dudes. And what's really funny is Kenny Galladay, I'm sorry, not Kenny Galladay. Actually, he was included. Kenny Galladay, Cooper Kupp, and Juju Smith-Schuster were all in the same NFL draft class back in 2017. Juju was picked in the second. Galladay and Kupp were both picked in the third round. And let's pull up their ages real quick. Let's check this out and see how funny it is because they were all drafted in 2017. Okay, so Juju is 24 years old. Okay, let's keep that in mind. Juju, 24, from the same draft class as 28-year-old Cooper Kupp. Now let's go over to Kenny Galladay real quick. And I promise you guys, these players were all drafted in 2017. I literally have like I don't even know how you could describe my memory on this stuff. Like it is concerning with how I can memorize this stuff. Okay, but Kenny Galladay drafted in 2017, 27 years old. But that shows how young Juju Smith-Schuster is. I mean, he's like, I believe 13, 14 months older than Najee Harris. So yeah, Juju at the 706, I'm fine with. Okay. So yeah, I'm sorry that I had to bring out some Juju love on y'all, but you know, if you're tuning into a Flock Dynasty draft, you're probably going to see me drafting Juju Smith-Schuster. That's how it is. Okay, so Elijah Moore goes off the board at the 711. Elijah Moore definitely would have been someone I would have considered at the 807. Now we have Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan going. So it's interesting to see how many teams have 2 and 3 quarterbacks when we only have 1. So if we go through and track the quarterback situation so far, so San Diego's Finest has 3, DVB has 4 quarterbacks, Nick has 2, Sam has 1, Jack has 1, Chimichanga has 2. We have 1, okay? Actually, no, we need to be clicking on these names real quick to make sure that we're actually looking at this correctly. We were not at all. Okay, so San Diego has 3. Here, we have 2 quarterbacks. Nick has 2. Sam has 1. Jack has 2. Chimichanga has 2. We have 1. Wanted Alex has 1. Kyle Pitts has 2. 2, 2, 2. Okay, just using that to kind of predict when these other guys are going to be getting drafted. Okay, so let's see at the 805. I do like the Curtis Samuel pick. And honestly, given the fact that we've had Noah Fant, Dallas Goedert, Mike Gesicki, Irv Smith all go off the board, I really do like our Mark Andrews pick there at the 607. Okay, so someone's saying trades. I don't know if a trade happened in the league. Okay. Mac Jones at the 806. Okay, so if we were going to go quarterback, guys, we would be intrigued in would be Cousins, Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, Derek Carr. I mean, there are a bunch of different quarterbacks, so we can decide to go that route. We can also go through and just check out the landscape at the other positions. Okay, maybe after... I don't want to do that. I was going to say, maybe after talking all this crap about Kenny Galladay, we actually have to take him in the 8th. I know people wanted us to take him in the 7th, and I did not like that pick over Juju Smith-Schuster or DJ Chark. Do we have to take Galladay here? Let me look at my Dynasty rankings. So no, Galladay, we have him a tier below some of the other wide receivers we currently have. I think we actually have to take another wide receiver that I don't really like at all in terms of his value compared to where everybody else has him. But I think we go Cortland Sutton here. I don't like the pick that much at all, but at the 807, I'm kind of fine with the value. So yeah, we're going to go Sutton. So KGS is saying, why is Chris Carson so low? I think Chris Carson is falling so low just mainly because the league format where you only have to start 1 running back, and also it's Dynasty, so you understand Carson, he is 26 years old. Actually, Carson may be 27. No, I think he's 26. Let me check this. Yeah, Carson is 26. So maybe that's why he went so low. I'm not even saying Chris Carson was bad value there. I mean, I think that's a great pick at the 805. Yeah, so I know people are going to like the Sutton pick just because Sutton is a fan favorite. But a big thing with Cortland Sutton, guys, is his best season ever was a wide receiver 3 in fantasy. His best year ever in 2019, he was a wide receiver 3 in points per game. The same year where DJ Chark was a wide receiver 1 in points per game. They both came from that 2018 draft class. DJ Chark, a younger wide receiver at the same time. So that's why I like Chark more over Cortland Sutton, given the fact that he also has less target competition. Also, he's a much better quarterback. But when we're getting Sutton at the 807, I am fine with that value. Okay, so Alejandro decides to go with Rashad Bateman, saying he doesn't know how he feels about that pick. My man, I assume that you were going to end up going quarterback there, assuming essentially only having Baker Mayfield. I'm not saying I wouldn't have done the same thing because I only had one quarterback and I decided to go with Cortland Sutton, but I could have sworn after we decided to pass on QB, you were going to be going that route. Okay, so yeah, I know people are liking that Sutton pick, but... Okay, so Baby Dragon says, PPR Superflex, tight end premium, 10-man dynasty startup. I have the 107 and the 204. Should I go with Lamar and Akers or Saquon and Russ? My man, what you need to do is you need to devalue the quarterback position in a 10-team Superflex league compared to a 12-team Superflex league because the supply and demand is going to get thrown off where teams are going to fill up with 2 quarterbacks very fast and you're going to be able to find values later on. So I would honestly go with a running back at the very beginning of the draft. Now, who that is up to you. But yeah, I definitely think you would go running back in the first instead of a quarterback, unless you have access to either Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, or Patrick Mahomes, obviously. But yeah, I don't think we would go with Lamar at the 107. In a 10-team quarterback league, in a 12-team league, I'm perfectly fine with that. Okay, so Kyle Pitts has a quote-unquote auto pick with Kareem Hunt there at the 809. I mean, I think Kareem Hunt definitely would have been the majority of people's picks, so we're not going to change that at all. And his little dot says that he is on sleeper, so I'm assuming that he'll probably come back soon. Okay. I desperately need more water. Okay, so Barking Spider here. This is the next thing that we need to get in up. Okay, and by the way, guys, a big thing is that we're going to get upgraded with this channel soon because of all that Patreon support is I'm going to be able to bring on a full-time editor. We're crossing our fingers on that because as of now, I have to edit all of the Dynasty videos, and we have actually had Thomas editing the main fantasy football videos for about a month now, and it's helped me so much actually find time to be able to devote it to that not rookie draft guide. I always say rookie draft guide because we worked on that so long, but our 2021 fantasy football draft guide. So yeah, I mean, that he has helped us out so much, and I think that we are actually going to end up to start paying him, to start compensating him for his time because of the support on Patreon, and I'm hoping we get a deal done with this company sometime soon. But yeah, that's another way that Patreon is actually allowing us to upgrade this channel, and I promise you, big things are coming this season. Okay, JN says Travis Fulgham to the moon. Oh my God, Travis Fulgham, a literal meme, guys. If y'all don't know, on the main fantasy football channel where I would live stream every single night, where we would go through and talk with people on a daily basis, people wanted my head for halfway through last year saying Travis Fulgham was a bum wide receiver and you needed to sell him for any upgrade you could get in your starting lineup. I mean, JN was there. JN traded him away for Antonio Gibson based on our advice, even though everybody was screaming at us, telling us that we were an idiot. And I know, looking back on it, people are going to go, Mason, nobody was doing that. Of course, Travis Fulgham's bad. But no, during the time, for whatever reason, Travis Fulgham fooled a bunch of people into thinking that he was somehow a good wide receiver in the NFL. I mean, I don't know how, but I mean, God dang, just a complete meme from last year. Okay, so let's scroll this up a little bit. So we have that wide receiver run going here, so that definitely makes me feel better about my Cortland Sutton pick there at the 807. And now we have Terrace Marshall, Tyler Lockett, Rondale Moore all going off the board. Tyler Lockett, Mr. Best Ball. Okay, so Caden says, grade the teams in a few rounds. I'll definitely look at where the teams are standing. Jayan says, waiver wire darlings, man. That is 100% true. I mean, I haven't even thought of Dynasty and just regular fantasy football players get so fooled and they get so attached to those players that come off the waiver wire. And I think a lot of the times they end up getting overvalued in fantasy just because people have fond memories and fond thoughts of them. But yeah, I mean, you could throw Darnell Mooney into that mix as well as Gabriel Davis. I think both of those players are slightly overrated in Dynasty. Masked Enigma saying Travis Fulgham definitely had hype for 4 weeks. I know it was a crazy 4 weeks. It was like Linsanity for the NFL. Stefan says only 2 running backs after 8 rounds. Risky. My man, you must not be used to one of our drafts. I mean, a lot of times I don't have 2 running backs after 8 rounds. I'll tell you that much. Especially in a league like this where you only have to start. I mean, you only have to start 1 running back. I'm completely fine only having 2. I'll go the next 6 rounds without drafting another running back if I don't like the value. Jordan says, is Russell Gage in a second enough to get a deal done for Joe Mixon? My man, if you were going to be able to trade Russell Gage in a 2nd round pick for Joe Mixon, you go do that ASAP. I mean, if I got that offer, I'd be laughing. Okay, so now at running back, speaking of running back, the best players available are going to be James Robinson, Myles Gaskin. And honestly, I think it's a big fall off after that. I don't want to say I wouldn't consider one of these guys because if someone's watching this stream, yes, be my guest. Go draft Ronald Jones in the 9th round. Then wide receiver, you have Galladay, Thielen. Okay, so Kenny Galladay goes at the 902, and I love that Galladay value at the 902, to be completely honest. And I know I was just talking trash about Kenny Galladay. I was just doing that. But that was when we were in the middle of the 7th round, and ADP had Galladay as the best player available, and a lot of people wanted us to go with Kenny Galladay. That would have been a bad pick in the middle of the 7th round, but once you get to the 9th round, I think if you get Kenny Galladay, you're very happy with that selection. Okay, so now Daniel Jones goes off the board at the 903. So Michael says, why did Hopkins get drafted so late? Just curious. I mean, man, honestly, I don't even think Hopkins got drafted that late. I mean, you look and Devonte Adams got picked 3 picks after him. I mean, Calvin Ridley got picked 3 picks before him. It's more so just the wide receivers went really late. It's not necessarily anything against Hopkins at all. I mean, I wouldn't even say he went that late. Okay, Alejandro says, man, I was hoping to get Daniel Jones this round. My man, let me know if you are regretting that Rashad Bateman pick now, if you wanted to get Daniel Jones. But, I mean, I was assuming that someone was going to be taking Daniel Jones here at the end. Bargain Spider is 2 quarterbacks. JP is 2. Dark Knight is 2. So let me see. Okay, so we have 2, 2, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3. Okay, so the majority of people have 2 quarterbacks. Wanted Alex and I are the only teams that have 1. Jay Wall says 173 viewers, but only 138 likes. Make sure you drop a like. I mean, literally, you'll never find another live stream that has that many likes per viewer. And that's what I'm saying. Y'all are just by far and away the best audience on YouTube. And that's why we're growing faster than anybody else. That's why I'm literally motivated every single day to come out here and make these videos, to make these live streams. It's because y'all show a ridiculous amount of picks. I mean, a ridiculous amount of support. I read Alejandro's messages and it messed me up there. Masked Enigma says, trust me, you'll be happier with Rashad Bateman. Okay, so it is interesting that a lot of wide receivers went off here. So now I think we actually have to go with a quarterback because if you're looking at this tier, I mean, Kirk Cousins is going to be the last guy before a fall off. We only have Zach Wilson at the position. So we are going to be going with Kirk Cousins here as our second quarterback. And now our team so far is at the quarterback position. We have Zach Wilson, Kirk Cousins. So definitely a weak spot on the roster. At a running back, we have Akers, Etienne. At a wide receiver, we have Adams, Godwin, Juju, Sutton. At tight end, in a tight end premium format, we have Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews. So it's a really weird looking team, but given the format, I actually like the structure. Okay, so Jordan Love going directly after Kirk Cousins. And Caden says, was my trade for the pick 101 fair? Okay, so if we pull this back up, the 101 trade was essentially traded away the 101 for the 304, the 504, and the 704. I think in a regular league, if someone asked me to make that trade, like if it was not best ball and it was not these starting lineup requirements, I would say, no, you want the 101. But given the league format here, I think I would actually prefer the package. So yeah, I think it's definitely a fair trade. Okay, so Debo Samuel goes here at the 908, continuing this run of wide receivers. I mean, so many wide receivers have gone off the board from the 5th to the 9th round. JN says, Mason, where do those numbers come from? I don't know what you're talking about there, my man. Maybe I'm missing the meme. Okay, so Myles Gaskin at the 909. Definitely love the Myles Gaskin value compared to the Michael Carter value. Michael Pittman at the 910. Gosh dang. I really need some water. I'm dying out here. We got 45 minutes left in the live stream. I'll power through it. I'll power through it. Okay, so we go through tight end. The thing is, since it's no, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that. I can't be affecting the draft board that much. Okay, Leonardo says, why do you prefer the package in this format? Okay, a big thing with taking a package and getting multiple pieces for one pick in a best ball league is, if you ask me, Mason, who do you think scores more points this upcoming year if they're going to impact your starting lineup? Like, who would help your team more in a season? Patrick Mahomes or the combination of, let's just say, Trey Lance and Justin Fields? And let's just say Dynasty. Over the next 3 years, who's going to have a larger impact in your starting lineup? I would say in a regular league, when you had to make starting lineup decisions, Patrick Mahomes. But if you're taking the best combination of each week between Justin Fields and Trey Lance, and you're stacking it up against Mahomes, you have 2 players compared to 1 in a best ball league. So you just get whichever player scores higher in this package. Most of the time, it's going to be the package because you just have more dartboards throwing at the dart. You have more chances to get that spike week. So that's why I prefer the package. I mean, it's literally just simple math. Okay, Michael says, do you prefer Dynasty or PPR? I prefer Dynasty leagues that are PPR, my man. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Stefan says, how many quarterbacks are good for Superflex? Really going to depend on a lot of different factors. Going to depend on how many teams you're in a league. Going to depend on the rest of your starting lineup requirements. Because in a league like this where you start 11 players, and if we go through real quick and you see that you have 6 flex spots, I mean, if you have 6 flex spots in a Superflex league, I think that you're really going to have to continue to focus in on wide receiver because you need to fill out the other starting lineup requirements at the same time. But a lot of teams that I break down over on Patreon with podcasts, they'll send me a team and they go, okay, Mason, I only have to start 7 players on a week-to-week basis. And what I say there is I go, man, you need elite quarterback play. You need 3 elite quarterbacks on this team because really no other position is going to matter that much. Okay, so A.J. Dillon at the 10:01. Definitely love getting me some A.J. Dillon. Caden says, go get water, my man. No, I can't leave the live stream. I got too many responsibilities here. Okay, so let's pull this up. Let me just make sure I don't have any trades that I have to actually go through and confirm on the app real quick. Okay, and also I got a notification on my phone that Cameron Wells just joined the flock on Patreon. Thank you so much, my dude, for deciding to join the flock. We just passed over 500 members. Okay, so okay, looks like we do not need to process any trades through, so we are good on that front. Okay, so Michael says, do you like David Montgomery this year? I initially did not like David Montgomery, but with the Tariq Cohen news, I mean, you really have to like David Montgomery if Tariq Cohen's going to miss a significant amount of time or if he's not going to be fully healthy, because that completely changes the outlook that you're going to have on the workload for David Montgomery. Okay, so Odell Beckham Jr. goes there at the 10:02. That's going to be a lot later than you see him go in the majority of other drafts. So the 10:02, I actually like that value. Even though with Odell, I think that in the majority of dynasty leagues, he's going to be an overvalued asset right now. Okay, so JN, okay, I got you, my man, I got you. Okay, so Mike Williams going at the 10:03. Mike Williams, definitely a player that has been rising in pretty much every single fantasy football format over the past month. I mean, he's maybe been the biggest riser in terms of his price. And it doesn't matter if it's best ball. It doesn't matter if it's high stakes redraft. It doesn't matter if it's dynasty. I mean, Mike Williams is definitely rising. Okay, so Adam Thielen at the 10:05. Definitely would have been considering Adam Thielen. Okay, so Chase Edmonds at the 10:07. So let's pull up our rankings over here on Patreon real quick so we can get a quick little cheat sheet up here. Okay, so I think I know who our highest. Oh, I'm hoping that these aren't showing on the screen, but I know who our highest wide receiver is. I just want to make sure. Let me just make sure I'm not missing out on anybody. Okay, I think we actually probably go quarterback here, given the fact that both our quarterbacks don't necessarily have a ton invested into them. It's going to be between Carr, Goff, and Winston. And right now we have two of these guys ranked back-to-back in our rankings. I think we go with Derek Carr, to be completely honest. It's not exciting, but you kind of need a high floor pick when we only have Zach Wilson and Kirk Cousins. We know Derek Carr is going to be starting the entire year. So I don't love the pick. It's actually the only league that I think I've ever drafted Derek Carr in, as crazy as that sounds when we play in so many formats. But yeah, we are going to be taking Carr there at the 10:07. Kevin says, just got off work, but glad to be here. Better late than never. My man, I am happy you are here as well. Okay, Michael says, why do you like A.J. Dillon? I'm not too familiar with him. Thanks for the advice. Okay, so essentially A.J. Dillon playing behind an elite offensive line, a running back that has the same athletic profile as Derrick Henry. He's actually 1 pound heavier than, actually no, he's the exact same weight as Derrick Henry, but he's 3 inches shorter, so he has a significantly higher BMI. So all of a sudden, this is someone that has a better size-adjusted athletic profile than the freak Derrick Henry himself. And I understand Derrick Henry, a way better running back in so many assets of the game. But just knowing that he has that freak size-adjusted athleticism does raise our excitement for him. He was drafted in the 2nd round last year, only about 10 picks behind the combination of J.K. Dobbins and Cam Akers. So he has a ton invested into him. Jamal Williams going to Detroit leaves a ton of open touches for A.J. Dillon. And with A.J. Dillon, I believe he's 39 pounds heavier than Aaron Jones. So because of all of that, I think that he does have an opportunity to actually get goal line usage in Green Bay this year. And if he gets goal line usage, he's someone that can potentially start if you need a running back too. And we obviously know if Aaron Jones goes down, he can vault up and he can be a running back 1 in fantasy. Okay. But now Hollywood Brown going at the 10:09. Definitely Hollywood Brown or Will Fuller would have been the wide receiver that we would have selected at the 10:07. Okay, so it looks like people wanted us to take Damien Harris. My dudes, I'm not taking Damien Harris in this format. I will say that. Maybe if he falls for a while. But, I mean, right now I'm not going to consider him. Okay, so Winston at the 10:11. We probably would have ended up going with 4 quarterbacks to start this draft if someone let Jameis Winston fall to us again. So happy to see that pick go off the board. And real quick, I'm actually going to pull something up on the side screen just because I need to know something. Actually, let's take this over. Let's take this over here real quick because I need to be checking out some scoring and how it's going to impact our value in the later rounds. Because this 11th round pick is not going to be easy. Okay. So I actually think we can do something that a lot of people probably aren't going to expect from us. Okay, so C-Bro says, how important is having your handcuff running back in Dynasty? Should I be trying to get Tony Pollard if I have Ezekiel Elliott, for example? No, I think it's the worst thing that you can do in Dynasty is going out of your way, spending additional resources to backfill a bet that you already made, because what it does is it definitely raises your ceiling. It raises your floor in Dynasty. You go, okay, if I have Ezekiel Elliott and I have Tony Pollard, if Ezekiel Elliott gets injured, I'm not going to be earning the 101 because instead of having a running back 1 in fantasy, all of a sudden Tony Pollard can be a running back 2 for me. So maybe I can just put a little piece of gum on that hole in the sinking ship and it can save my season. Well, what that does is it probably takes you from being a contending team to a team that's earning the 106. And really, it puts you in the middle of the pack with everyone else. And that's the worst place to be in Dynasty. I want to either be winning my Dynasty League or I want to be earning the 101. I do not want anything in between. So handcuffing your own running backs lowers your ceiling and erases your floor and sticks you in the middle spot. Where if you draft those handcuff running backs, but instead of getting a Tony Pollard, you get a Darrell Henderson on a team that you have Ezekiel Elliott instead. And then all of a sudden Cam Akers gets injured. Then instead just a running back 1 and Tony Pollard down there on the bench, you have Darrell Henderson jumping up to be a running back 2 with Ezekiel Elliott, and that's how you win your league. So draft handcuff running backs, but don't draft your own handcuff running backs because it's not going to do anything for raising your ceiling. It's just going to lower your ceiling while raising your floor, and that's the worst thing you can be doing in Dynasty. Okay, so Tyler says, so how many more leagues are you going to be making? So we are going to have our next announcement for our next Flock Patreon League on the 25th, because I have to pause it just slightly as we move across the country. And then after that, I'd imagine we probably get about maybe 4 or 5 more Dynasty startups. And let me look up when the official first date of the season is, because we're probably going to be doing 1 a week from here on out once we get to the new studio. Okay, so we're going to be doing probably 4 to 5 more Dynasty leagues this offseason. Okay, so it's September 9th. Okay, yeah. So we're probably going to be doing 4 to 5 more Dynasty leagues this offseason, and we're maybe going to be doing we're probably going to be doing 30 to 35 redraft leagues over there on Patreon this year. Okay, so Damian Harris goes after Brandon Cooks. Okay, so I see that we passed over 160 likes on this live stream. That is absolutely massive. I really wanted Henry Ruggs with this team, to be honest. Okay, so Evan Ingram goes the 1103. If we show our team one more time just to let everyone know. Okay, so Jan wants to know if Herbert's value goes up in Dynasty as a sleeper. Honestly, I'm not a massive fan of him. We've been getting so many questions of him on our redraft channel, but if you look historically with where he went in the draft, I mean, it's a very hard bet to make. And usually the Dynasty community, we can all get behind one of those day 3 running backs and just say that they're going to be someone that eventually pops. And usually you have maybe one every other year, maybe one every 3 years that does pop off, like a James Robinson. But the problem is, the Dynasty community, the fantasy community in particular, we are so bad at identifying that day 3 player that actually pops off that, I mean, the majority of the time, even when someone does, we didn't know about him. Nobody knew about James Robinson. Nobody knew about Myles Gaskin. I mean, those players weren't getting picked up until right before the season. So yeah, I just kind of want to stay away from players like that, to be completely honest. Okay. So Caden says, you got to let me in another one. My man, I'm definitely going to be prioritizing the new Dynasty leagues, getting people that have not had a chance to get into a Dynasty Flock Patreon league. They're going to get those spots first. But even if you've been in a Dynasty league, you can definitely hop in a redraft league. We're going to be doing so many redraft leagues, you can definitely get in them. Okay. So running back, There are a decent amount of players at every position, to be honest. Okay, Hurricane Lane says, Mason, can you adjust the draft board to see where the picks are coming off the board? Okay, yeah. I think I already have that. Did I not? Yeah, my man. I think we have it about the best we can right now, to be completely honest. Please let me know if there's something else you're wanting me to do there, but I don't really know what we can do, if we can do. Okay, Jayan says, were you the dude who was AFK? No, Caden is San Diego's finest right here. This is Caden. Caden's in this draft. Chris says, what if David Montgomery gets hurt? Well, if David Montgomery gets hurt, then you could expect Damian Williams to step into that role. If Damian Williams doesn't step into that role, you're going to expect them to sign someone off the street. Or maybe they just turn into a committee where you can't really start anyone. Okay, so Wanted Alex says he got sniped on Corey Davis. So let's go through and check out this board real quick. Okay. Oh my gosh. We have 3 quarterbacks. We don't need to go with See, this is a big thing that I'm not comfortable. At least I don't have the experience in waiting until this long to get our quarterbacks. So like right now, I have like an itchy finger wanting to draft Jared Goff, but the difference between Goff, Ben Roethlisberger, Ryan Fitzpatrick, for me, really not that large. So I think we're going to pass on the quarterback position because I think the positional guys are probably better values at this point. And we're going to go and get Logan Thomas as our 3rd tight end on this team, given the fact that Logan Thomas, I mean, I think he's a great value right now. A lot of people want to be all in on Terry McLaurin because he gets the upgrade at quarterback. Well, Logan Thomas got that same upgrade at quarterback. He was very productive last year, and it was his first year playing the tight end position. So I'm getting Logan Thomas here as our tight end 3 on this team, and in a tight end premium format. I like that given the fact that we can't expect them to slide into the flex spots. Okay, Locust says, Mason gonna love getting Davis at the 1106. What Davis were we gonna get, my man? Maybe I missed out on something. You're probably trolling me right now. Mike Davis, you were saying? No, honestly, I wasn't considering taking a third running back there. It was either going to be quarterback or Logan Thomas. And I think Logan Thomas was definitely the option because outside of that, you got Robert Tonyan and really nobody else that stands out at tight end. I really like getting Logan Thomas there, especially because we know that some other teams are going to be extremely weak at tight end. I mean, we go through, you got one tight end in Mike Gesicki here. I mean, DVB has no tight ends. Nick has Irv Smith, then Hunter Henry, then Jack has none. Yeah, so there are a lot of teams with bad tight end situations right now. Wanted Alex also doubled up with Darren Waller and Noah Fant. So yeah, I like that we decided to go with Logan Thomas there at the 1106. I think he's probably going to outscore literally everybody else in that round, and he's coming at a harder position as well. Okay, we just passed up. We literally have more likes in the live stream right now than we have live viewers. Thank you so much, my dudes. That is absolutely massive. Okay, Straight Out of Fucks says, thoughts on Pat Friarmuth. With Friarmuth, I mean, I don't call him average tight end prospect, but nothing that's too special. And in a bad situation for this upcoming season, you could draft him expecting for production next year. But if you're drafting someone expecting production in 2022, I probably would prefer getting Cole Kmet here at the 11-11. Not 11-0-11, 11-11. Yeah, but Cole Kmet at the 11-11, I do like. Okay, so other running backs that went, I actually really prefer having this Mike Davis value at the 11-10 compared to Damian Harris at the 11-02. I think Mike Davis, I think they're both just assets for this upcoming season. And Mike Davis definitely is a better piece to have in 2021. Sebro says, why does Hunter Henry go way before Jonnu Smith? My man, I cannot give you a good answer on that question. I mean, if I pull up my rankings right now, I have Hunter Henry as the tight end 15, and I have Jonnu Smith as the tight end 14. Okay, Open 24 Hours says Carter Sermon or neither in Dynasty. I definitely prefer Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon going to be playing in the better offense. Trey Sermon, the better prospect, gets the more team investment. So I'm going to be going with Sermon. Okay, so Robert Tonyan goes at the 11-12. Now, I mean, there's probably, I mean, you could say Jonnu Smith, Tyler Higbee, but outside of that, I really don't like any of those tight ends to produce this upcoming season. I really like that Logan Thomas pick. Okay. So hopefully, I don't want to say what we want to happen. Let's go through and let me know if y'all want me to check out the teams right now and kind of go through and do a quick grade across the league, or let me know if y'all want me to just continue to look at the live picks. Let me know what y'all prefer in a live stream because I know different people like different things. But McCole Hardman going here at the 12:01, and then right after that, Antonio Brown, both wide receivers that I really was going to hope fell to us at the 12:07. Fantastic picks there, my dudes. I am jealous that you got that kind of value on a McCole Hardman. That is a great pick in a best ball format. Okay, Kadarius Toney at the 12:03. Garrett says, how much of a difference do you have between Etienne and Najee Harris? A pretty big difference, to be completely honest. I had Travis Etienne as our #1 running back going into the NFL draft over Najee Harris, but I can't ignore the fact that Najee is just going to be seeing so much more volume. I mean, if you pull up our Dynasty rankings right now, I have Najee Harris ranked as our running back 5 and Travis Etienne ranked as our running back 12, and they are in 2 separate tiers as well. Alejandro says, any reason you can't trade rookies in the Flock 12 right now? I did not know you could not. I will go through and please remind me to look at that, and I definitely will. And Alejandro, remind me to shoot you a DM of the sign, a screenshot of the sign for the new studio, because I really want you to see it. It's pretty badass, my man. Okay, so we got some more wide receivers, and we have Jonnu Smith going at the 12:05. Now at the 12:07, let's see where Chimichanga is most likely going to go. So he has 3 quarterbacks, 4 running backs. He goes Russell Gage. Russell Gage, another great pick. I think we actually go quarterback now. I wasn't really saying that we were... I mean, I almost considered taking Jared Goff in the 11th round. And I figured that we would probably go with Logan Thomas because that's a player that we were going to see the tier drop off faster at tight end compared to quarterback. Let me just make sure there are no wide receivers I'm dying to have. Yeah, no, here I think we go... Let me see if Jared Goff, Ben Roethlisberger. Do we have any stack potential with either player? Ben Roethlisberger, we have Juju. Jared Goff, we have nobody. Let me see how many quarterbacks are behind us. One at Alex only has 2. And Kyle Pitts only has 2. So I think we actually do have to go quarterback here. It is essentially, do we want Goff? Do we want Ben Roethlisberger? I would expect Ben Roethlisberger to be more productive this year. I'd expect that Jared Goff potentially starts this season and then also has a little bit more has more job security in 2023. Let me look up his contract real quick just to see when the guaranteed money runs out. Just to see if we can use that as a tiebreaker. Okay, we got 16 seconds. Jared Goff is $30 million guaranteed next year. Yeah, we're going to go Jared Goff here for our 4th quarterback. So I don't necessarily know if I really like this strategy and that we waited on quarterback, but we ended up taking a lot of them. Maybe in a best ball league, it's fine. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Austin Hooper at the 1208. Okay, yeah. I mean, that Goff pick is just ugly at the 1207, but at the end of the day, I think it's fine. I think what's probably really bad with what we did is I think Derek Carr at the 1007 is probably just me reaching based on fear. And I think we probably should have gone wide receiver there. We should have gone with either Will Fuller or Hollywood Brown and then just planned on getting either Jared Goff or Ben Roethlisberger a little bit later. So yeah, I think the bad pick was not Jared Goff in the 12th. I think it was actually Derek Carr in the 10th. Okay, so Austin Hooper at the 1208. And a big thing is now we literally can't take another. We cannot take another quarterback. We just have to hammer in wide receivers and running backs here. I believe we are actually kind of, I don't want to say limited on wide receiver, but we only have Adams, Godwin, Juju, and Sutton. We only have 4 wide receivers. And you know, if you watch a lot of my drafts, that I prefer having way more than this by this point. So that's definitely not characteristic of us. Okay, so we have some more tight ends going off the board in Austin Hooper and Pat Friarmuth. It's interesting to see Hooper go before Higbee. I definitely think I would prefer Tyler Higbee over Austin Hooper. Johnny says Jonnu Smith got 50 million. Henry got 37. Jonnu's the pick in any format. I think really the pick comes down to who do you think the tight end is going to be that's blocking the majority of the time and the tight end that's running routes. If you can answer that question, I think that matters more. But I mean, trust me. I mean, I have Jonnu Smith ranked 1 spot ahead of Hunter Henry in our Dynasty rankings because that contract. I'm right there with you. If you look at the guaranteed money, Jonnu Smith definitely got a better deal. But it's going to be interesting to see who's actually running routes and who's actually just kind of soaking it up in terms of the blocking snaps. Okay, so let me go through and hide my video real quick. That way everybody can see the draft board because we are a little bit further on. Okay, so Higbee at the 12-12, Ryan Fitzmagic at the 13-01, Adam Troutman at the 13-02. So if we pull this up, let's pull it up real quick. And let's see where we are going to be deciding to go. Probably not tight end. I mean, we already have 3 guys. I think really the value was Logan Thomas, the 1106. And I think beyond that, I don't necessarily know if we love the tight end value. So we can be looking across positions. And let me go to our Dynasty rankings real quick to see at wide receiver if we have a teardrop coming anytime soon. Oh, okay. So one at Alex says he went with the stack with Austin Hooper to Baker Mayfield. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, at wide receiver, just checking to see if we do have that teardrop off. Okay, I actually think there's a player that I don't necessarily like, but we're probably going to end up drafting here. Yeah, let's see what falls to us. Let's see what happens. But I think we're probably going to end up going wide. No, maybe I need to go with a running back. I mean, there are some intriguing running backs still available. I can just guarantee you I'm not going to go tight end or quarterback. It's either going to be running back or wide receiver upcoming. So Diami Brown goes at the 1303. I actually saw Denzel Mims go over Diami Brown, I believe, in our last Flock startup. And I definitely agree that I think Diami's the Brown. And honestly, it's probably easy to make Diami the Brown. Okay, Diami the pick, not Diami the Brown. Okay, but yeah, Jalen Reagor would have been our selection there. Great pick on Jalen Reagor. Okay, so Masked Enigma says they'll probably both vulture each other and just be annoying. Johnny more upside athletically, though. Yeah, definitely. That is true that Johnny's the significantly better athlete. Okay, I'm kind of mad that Jalen Reagor goes off the board. I thought we were going to end up drafting Reagor. Now Cam Newton goes, and we are up. Do we really have to take Jarvis Landry here? I think we do. I hate it, but... Is Darnell Mooney available? Just knowing trade value. Okay, Darnell Mooney is not available. I think we go Jarvis Landry. Okay, so Jarvis Landry here. In a best ball format, it's whatever. Even though the contract isn't guaranteed in the long haul, I think they could easily move on from him after this year. Don't love the player, but in the middle of the 13th round, I'm fine with it. If it was not a best ball league and we had to start more than one running back, I definitely would have gone running back here. But like I said, format's going to dictate that a lot. So our start right now at our running back position, we have Akers and Travis Etienne. At wide receiver, we have Adams, Godwin, Juju, Sutton, Jarvis. At tight end, we have Kelsey, Andrews, Thomas. This is a tight end premium league. And at quarterback, we have Wilson, Cousins, Carr, and Jared Goff, which sounds gross, but in a best ball format, I actually think we get a decent amount of production out of them. Ja Webb says Jarvis has some decent YouTube content. Okay, so hopefully Jarvis is actually out here in the live stream right now. And my man Jarvis, I apologize for what I said about your contract not being guaranteed. Trust me, the Browns are not going to cut you. They love you. And I would love to have you on the Fantasy Flock Network to promote your YouTube channel. And we can talk about why you're such a great pick in Dynasty Leagues and why you're going to have an NFL career that lasts until you're 40 years old. Alejandro says Etienne over Najee Harris. My man, I cannot get there. I can't say Travis Etienne over Najee Harris. I did before the NFL draft, but after Najee Harris is just going to be getting so much volume in Pittsburgh, I think it's nearly impossible to make that claim. Okay, so Nico Collins at the 13-10. Okay, Johnny says, for years we have tried to hype New England tight ends because of Gronk and Hernandez. Now reality hits and everyone fades Jonnu. I think it's funny. It is kind of funny that Jonnu Smith is definitely the best tight end to be in New England since Rob Gronkowski kind of turned into a shell of himself. But yeah, Jonnu is talented. It's just, I mean, you need Mac Jones to take over as the starting quarterback there sooner rather than later if you want them to have really any production. Okay, so let me hide this real quick, put this up so everybody can see the entire draft board as it goes. Let me know if y'all prefer this view rather than seeing the players that are available and just making sure that anybody coming in right now can kind of see what's going on and catch up with everyone. But also let me highlight some certain teams and just show everybody, because I know with trades, it's kind of harder to see. So if we go through and look at it like this, you can pause the screen. You can tell me what teams that you think you prefer, what teams you think kind of messed up here. Okay, we're about to approach my favorite team in this draft so far. My God, that is exactly what you're wanting to see right there. I wanted Alex, Kyle Pitts, Barkin Spider, JP, and Dark Knight. Okay, so Denzel Mims goes at the 13-11. Denzel Mims, I just think Mims is I think Mims is done, to be completely honest. He doesn't fit the scheme in New York, and to go along with it, I mean, that's a coaching staff that literally sounds like they don't want to give him any playing time at all. Okay, so Ben Roethlisberger here at the end of the 13th. That's a great pick, Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, that's a fantastic, fantastic selection. Brian Edwards at the 14-01. I like that pick as well. Okay, so let's see where Nick decides to go at the 14-03. He goes Christian Kirk. Okay, so now that we have some of these wide receivers going off, I really like that Jarvis Landry selection, even though I do not like Jarvis Landry himself. Yeah, Kyle Pitts saying Tomlin loves his bell cows. Yeah, a big thing is just Kyle Pitts is right. You're going to have Najee Harris getting so many touches this upcoming season. I mean, he's a first-round borderline pick in high-stakes redraft leagues right now. That's for a reason. And knowing how that's going to impact his dynasty value if he comes through and he's a top 10 running back right away, I mean, he's going to be a bona fide, just cornerstone asset in dynasty fantasy football. Lake says, Mims and Mooney, 2 late-round steals to me. My man, I can't get behind Denzel Mims. I mean, I understand the prospect profile, even though I didn't really even like him coming out of Baylor last year. But the thing is, everything that we have heard from New York, from the coaching staff, from playing time, makes it sound like Denzel Mims, a traditional wide receiver that's going to run down the field and be a jump catch wide receiver instead of a yards after the catch. That doesn't fit what you're going to see from this offense. What this offense is trying to prioritize is yards after the catch capability. And I don't think Mims really has that. Okay, look at the best available, guys. This is so funny. The best available according to ADP is running back, 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 just all the way through. And I think we take a guy that literally got, I believe, $11 million guaranteed this offseason. He's going to be an asset for the next 2 years. He'll have a pass catching role regardless of what's going on. And if anything happens to Josh Jacobs, he steps into a 3-down role. Kenyon Drake, I'm actually, after being so low on him last year, I actually really like him as an asset right now. Okay, so let's show that draft board. Yeah, I mean, I really, really like taking Kenyon Drake there. Okay, Caden says the turn's always tough. I mean, it is tough to draft at the turn. I'm not going to make it sound like it isn't, my man. I understand that it is definitely a difficult spot to be in. Let me see, just from a roster construction standpoint, what our positional values are looking up. Okay, so we have 4 quarterbacks, we have 3 running backs, 3 tight ends, and 5 wide receivers. Okay, so Fournette going. Let me know how much y'all hate my Kenyon Drake pick over Leonard Fournette, because I know that a lot of people are not going to like that. Honestly, probably a bad selection, to be completely honest. But I definitely do like Kenyon Drake, given the role that he's going to have on this team and given the contract that he got this offseason, because I think he's going to have that same role in the team next year as well. Okay, so maybe we see a little bit of a running back run go here, because if you look at wide receivers really already, I mean, I don't want to say it's completely dried up, but it's definitely a lot uglier than what you're seeing at the other positions right now. Which I'm saying that in a best ball league, I agree with you. I think you need to be going wide receiver. But the thing is, you just have to balance when the value dries out versus the optimal position to target in best ball. Okay, so Switchblade says, any auction dynasty drafts coming up? My man, don't have any scheduled. Probably not, to be completely honest. Maybe we'll do some redraft auctions. Actually, I can guarantee you we'll do a redraft auction or two. Okay, so Tony Pollard goes. So it looks like we are having a little bit of that running back run going. Okay, so Caden says, how much do we have left? We're going to be live streaming for another 13 minutes. Like I said, guys, what we do is for these live drafts, we are live streaming them. We are live drafting them for the first 2 hours. And I know not everybody can carve out 5 hours in their day. So instead of going through and doing all 30, 35 rounds on the live stream, we do the first 2 hours. And then after that, we end the live stream, we switch it to a slow draft with an 8-hour clock, and we finish it out that way. Okay, so Tony Pollard at the 1409. Love that Tony Pollard selection. I think if Tony Pollard was guaranteed to be in that same situation over the next 2 years, we would have taken Pollard over Kenyon Drake. But the thing is, I believe Pollard only has 1 year left on that deal. So for Dynasty, it's a little less appealing. Okay, so Raheem Mostert going off the board at the 1410. Okay, so Switchblade says, let me know, Papa. I am Flocker Doug Lamb. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, so I'll definitely, man, I promise you, we are going to be doing so many Patreon leagues upcoming. I mean, as soon as we get to that new studio and I get the new camera, I get the new lighting, and we are full on grind mode for the season, we're going to be live streaming a real draft every single night on our main fantasy football channel. I promise you that. And of course, all of those leagues, literally every single one, is going to be filled over there on Patreon. Hopefully we have enough Patreon members to go through and fill all those leagues, and we continue to have interest in them every single night. But yeah, we are going to be. Okay. So Recife, I know I can never say your name. I understand I've pronounced it 10 million different times throughout the course of you supporting this channel. Says, I'm late. I'm disappointed. No, man, I'm just happy you're able to come out. And of course, you can always rewind. You can always go through and check it out. Okay, so Kyle Pitt says, feel pretty good about my team now, thankfully. The Mahomes trade hurt, but the team rounded out nice. Honestly, no, man, like I said, I like your Mahomes trade, to be completely honest. Let me go through, let me show this draft board really quickly. That way everybody can see what is happening, and we can kind of just catch up everybody who's coming in here a little bit late. But please, guys, like I said, if you think I did something stupid, do not hesitate. Go down to the comment section. Let me know what I did was stupid. Let me know why it was stupid and what you would have done differently, because I've said a million times before, I am an idiot. I am a monkey. I am wrong all the time. Okay. So let's go through, pull this back up. Okay, so if we go and see what's going to be available to us in about 5 picks. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we're actually up in 4 picks. I think we can kind of go any way we want. Gerald Everett would have been interesting at tight end just because we know that's someone that's most likely going to be getting snaps. Okay, so Hines going. Wide receiver, we possibly could go wide receiver because there are a few guys that are still going to be seeing snaps, but nobody that I love too much. Running back, I think actually we probably go running back as much as I don't like to admit it. Okay, so Darius Slayton, Alexander Madison. I mean, Darius Slayton, that's a name that I've not heard in a while. And another player that I got so much hate for saying to sell high at the beginning of last season. I mean, I can't emphasize how much hate that we ended up getting for that pick. Okay, so let's go. We're going to be live for another 9 minutes, my dude. Okay, so Tutu Atwell off the board. Now we have a very, very easy selection. We are going to be going a little bit further down ADP, but we are going to go get KJ Hamler. I mean, KJ Hamler, literally, in my opinion, the best value at wide receiver since, okay, I would rather have Hamler over Atwell, Slayton, Eskridge, Palmer, Kirk, Edwards, Mims, Nico Collins, Amari Rodgers. I'd probably rather have KJ Hamler over all of these wide receivers until Jarvis Landry, to be completely honest. I mean, I honestly don't even think that is that bold to say. Okay, let me see the chat. Okay, so Mike saying, is Darrell Henderson still available on the board? Yes, sir. I definitely would have considered Darrell Henderson. I just think in a best ball league, KJ Hamler's such an easy pick there. Alejandro says, if you got offered a job at Good Morning Football, what is your reaction? My reaction is, you will never be able to pry me away from the Fantasy Flock Network, no matter what. I'm not leaving this place. Not a chance in hell. Jayan says, just got my Colin Johnson call-in t-shirt. My man, let me look that up. I do not think I've seen that before. Okay, so let me see this. Okay, my man, I am probably looking at something else. Jan, you got to shoot me a DM on Twitter about that shirt, my man. Shoot me a screenshot of it or a picture. Okay, Afro Sour says, damn, I just tuned in for the end. Don't love your ETN pick because I don't like what's happening in that backfield. My man, I love that ETN pick, to be completely honest, at 306. I think the pick that I don't like is I don't like Kelsey. I think what we would have preferred to see is we would have preferred to go Javonte Williams. Okay, so after we take Hamler, you have Nelson Aguilar, Kenneth Gainwell, Anthony Ferksker. Yeah, Jay, and I can't find that shirt. I have no idea where you got that. Okay, but you said you'll be wearing it today. Okay. Yeah, my man, you need to, I'm going to give you that, both the mic. I need to find the cord for the mic. I have not used that in a while. If I can't find the cord, I'm sure you can get a cord for like $2. And we're going to get you that webcam too for your channel. Alejandro says, I ask because your GMF tweets and the nonsense they talk about. Yeah, my man, I have no, like those tweets, I literally don't even know what like the channel's called or anything. It's just at the gym, they play sports TV network shows. And I don't have, maybe I have cable or anything, but I literally probably haven't watched TV in years, to be completely honest. So I don't know anything about those main talk shows that do sports, but literally I'll be at the gym and like the headline will be like, Bowling, is bowling a better team bonding activity than the movies or something? And it'll be like showing a picture of Tom Brady. I'll be like, people listen to this? People watch this? What is going on here? I mean, a couple days ago, they were talking about Ben Roethlisberger reportedly being in the best shape of his entire life. I'm going, this is nonsense. Why are y'all on the air? Okay, so it looks like this is probably going to be the last 5 minutes that we are doing this live stream. Guys, we got 183 likes on this live stream. Thank you so much, my dudes, for everybody coming out, everybody showing some love. And like I said, we are not going to be able to have another Dynasty League until about the 25th. I'm not going to have the league then, but we'll make the announcement then. And it's because we are going to be moving to that new studio. And over there on Patreon, we are going to have our 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide released in 3 days. That'll be available alongside our Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide, which I'm sure the majority of y'all have already had our Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide. But of course, both are available for anybody on Patreon. So just shoot me a DM if you have not already. And OJ Howard, Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson, older than Juju Smith-Schuster, funny enough. I mean, maybe not. I need to double check on that. He's either older or he's a couple months within the same age. Okay, so Van Jefferson going. Can we go wide? I mean, I would love to go wide receiver here just because I think in the league format, you want to be going wide receiver more than running back in these later rounds. But the problem is the wide receivers available are disgusting. Like I want to go wide receiver, but I simply can't. I think we're going to be able to get another pick off before we end the live stream. Okay, so that will be good. Okay, let me show the board one more time before we actually have to end the live stream. And I'm honestly excited to end this stream so I can go get me some water because I am just dying right now. Okay, so please, guys, let me know your favorite team. Let me know your least favorite team. Let me go through and show off all the teams real quick because I know it's a little bit harder to see with the trades in it. Okay, so there we go. We are up on the clock. Chuba Hubbard goes. So we are going to be taking Darrell Henderson. Actually, oh, crap. We have Cam Akers on this team. Darrell Henderson, oh, my gosh. He is definitely my favorite running back handcuff out of this group. But I don't think it makes that much sense to take him on the same team I have Cam Akers on. Maybe I do it anyway just because he's by far and away the best value available. But it's literally like the worst way to play Dynasty. I mean, I'm looking for any other option we could potentially have here. We can't really go tight end at quarterback. Honestly, can't even go quarterback. I think we have to go running back. We're just going to go Melvin Gordon. I mean, it's gross, but might as well get Melvin Gordon. It's the 16th round. It is whatever. Darrell Henderson goes right here. Henderson was the better value. I definitely prefer Henderson in Dynasty. But when we already drafted Cam Akers, we kind of made a bet that Akers is going to stay healthy this year. So like I said, I don't want to raise our floor and lower our ceiling by drafting Darrell Henderson. I'd rather get Melvin Gordon because what happens if something happens? Sorry, what would happen to Melvin Gordon's value if something happened to Javonte Williams? All of a sudden, he would be a bell cow running back in that offense. So I do like going and getting him instead there. Okay, so we got one more minute on the live stream. Thank you again, my dudes, for everybody who is able to make it out and everybody who dropped a like. I mean, I believe we almost had 200 likes on this live stream, which is absolutely massive. We have 185, and I know every single person in here has dropped a like, so I'm not asking you to drop anymore. Just thank you. Ja Webb says, Mason, what do you think ends up happening with Zach Ertz? I do not have a good answer for you, my man. I wish I had a confident take on what was going to end up happening with Zach Ertz, because if you knew what was going to happen with Zach Ertz, you probably could make a decent amount of money. Yeah, people laughing at us that we are so anti-handcuff. It would be different if Melvin Gordon wasn't there. If Melvin Gordon was already drafted, I definitely would have gone with Darrell Henderson anyway, just because of the value. But yeah, I think Melvin Gordon and Henderson are close enough where Gordon's going to be the player I prefer. Okay, so Quintus Cephas is going to be, I believe, the last pick of the live stream. So thank you again, my dudes, for everybody who was able to come out. Let me pause that draft. Let me switch it over here just so I can give you all a big time thank you for coming out to the live stream. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to shoot me a DM on Patreon anytime and let me know your opinion of this draft down in the comment section. And for everybody in this draft right now, I'm going to switch this over to an 8-hour timer and we'll slowly go through the rest of it. And yeah, that should be it. Our next draft is not going to be until the 25th. We'll have a mock before then. So of course, be on the lookout for that. And yeah, that should be it, my dudes. I hope to see you all in the premiere tomorrow and have a